I know we've only known each other for 4 weeks and 3 days, but to me, it seems like 9 weeks and 5 days.
All right, everyone. It's Sunday. All of my passionate plant people and garden enthusiasts. Welcome to the Sunday edition of the Let's Get Growing show here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host today, and we've got a really great day here. We've got a great conversation coming up here in just a little bit in the show. We've got our good friends Khang Starr from the Khang Starr channel on YouTube and Christopher Brandsdal from the Christopher Brandsdal channel. And we'll have a really fun discussion with these guys as they're back again here today on our show. And yeah, lots of great things going on right now. Hope all of you are having a great time here and enjoying all of the things growing on in your garden. If you're here at the top of the show, definitely click that like button, hit the thumbs up, as well as subscribe. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, and hit that bell notification so that you can be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams, and definitely share with all of your garden friends out there. Let them know about what we've got growing on here on the Let's Get Growing show. And also, too, big, huge shout out to all of you here who are joining with us on our replay. It's really great to see you here as well, too, joining with us when on your time. Again, too, it's one of the great things about doing this show here live on YouTube is that it stays here on and available for all of you to watch whenever you want. So if you are joining with us on the replay, definitely get down into the comment section below. Let me know you are here. Let me know what you got growing on. If you got any ideas or suggestions for the show, or even possibly some guests that you would like to see us invite here to be on the show as well, too. Or if you just want to say hi, I'd love to hear from all of you. So definitely get down into the comment section below. And if you are here joining with us live, you'll want to join the conversation right there in the chat box, and definitely, or the chat as well if you're on mobile. But definitely join in the chat there as well. Love to hear from all of you, see what you got growing on, and if you do have any questions or comments or anything like that as well too for our guests, definitely put those into our chat as well too, but put those in nice big bold capital letters so that I can see those from all of the rest of the conversation, and make sure that we ask those during the live stream here today. So again, thank you all so much for joining with me today. Today is actually my birthday, so it's really fun to be joining with all of you here on this great day here. And yeah, just gonna have a bunch of fun here and enjoy everything growing on. We've got lots and lots that's been growing on here on the channel as well too. If you didn't get a chance to check out our show yesterday, you'll want to go back and check that out. We got to hang out with our good friend. Let's see here. Make sure we got that right. Hang out with our. Oh, there it is. Mike Van Doozy from Keep On Growing Home and Garden. Mike joined up with us yesterday, and we had some real fun. Even brought along some stuff to give away. We had a fun giveaway day during the conversation with Mike yesterday, and talked all about all sorts of things growing on over there in his garden and all of that as well too. We got to talk with Mariana Larry from Mary's Garden and Kitchen. We had such a really fun conversation with Mary. I've been wanting to have her on the show for a while now. I've been following with her and her channel over this last year. So I discovered her early on in the year, and she was growing in this really cool urban garden right in the city in New York City. And she had some really cool spaces, really unique spaces that she was growing out of there. And so we talked all about that, and as well too her moving on to a new space that she gets to grow and expand her garden and everything. So that was a really fun conversation to get to meet Mary there from her channel as well too. So you'll want to go back and check out that show yesterday. And also, too, again, coming up here on the Sunday edition of the show this next week, I want to go ahead and let everybody know at the top of the show that next week we're going to have a very special Sunday edition as we're inviting back on Mark Valencia from the channel Self-Sufficient Me. He'll be back joining with us again, and we're going to have him with our gardening roundtable with Nate Murray from Garden Like a Viking next week as well too. So you'll definitely want to come and check out those shows next Sunday. Going to be great. It's really awesome to be able to talk with Mark earlier in the season, and he had so much fun on the show last time that he's real excited about coming back on and hanging out with all of us, as well as with Nate, who's really great. Great gardener, got a great channel as well too, and he's really fun to talk with as well too. So it's going to be a great conversation. You won't want to miss out on that. And also, if you didn't catch our Sunday edition last week, you're definitely going to want to go back and check that out as well too. It's third Sundays of each month, we do our gardening book club. We have a really fun book club we've been doing this year with my good friend Mark Boucher Colbert, who you'll see in the garden segment here in just a few minutes. But last week we got to talk with Ashley Thomas from the Mocha Gardener, and we talked all about her book, How to Become a Gardener. This is such a great, wonderful book. It's one of my favorite gardening books that I've found since doing this show. And Ashley's been on the show a couple of times already. She's just a wonderful garden, wonderful spirit, all of that sort of stuff, and that translates well into her book. And Mark really enjoyed the book, and we had a really great conversation last week. So again, too, you want to check out that if you haven't yet as well. Also, too, on the third Sunday of the month during our gardening book club, when we're finished with our conversation with our featured author for that month, we also announced our book for next month. And this next month's book is going to be a book called The Seed Hunter by Mitch McCulloch. I got to meet Mitch down at the National Heirloom Exposition, and got to talk to him all about all sorts of things. And he mentioned to me that he had this book coming out, and mind you, it really just came out too. So I'm still even waiting for it myself. So again, too, even if you don't have the book or all of that, you're definitely going to want to join in with the conversations with these great authors, because it is really just something that's really great about this book club. It's not your average book club where we're just getting together in our community and talking about different books that we've chosen. These are, again, really great gardening books, but we also get to talk to the authors and get to dig into, what went into putting these books together, and all of that as well too, and getting to know these authors just a little bit more. Just gives a little bit more added to these great gardening books. So you'll want to join us for again this next month for November. It's the third Sunday of the month. I believe that's going to be November 17th. So mark it on your calendar. Come and check out that great show there as well too, that we'll be having there with Mitch and the Seed Hunter book. Also, last Saturday too, again too, here we got so much great things going on. We got so many awesome guests on our show, and so if you're missing any of these shows, you don't want to miss out. Again, it's one of those reasons why you'll want to really make sure you hit that bell notification when you subscribe to the channel, because that's a great way to keep track of our shows and make sure you're not missing out, because we have so many great guests. Last week, we were really privileged to talk to Dr. Jeff Pierce. Dr. Jeffrey Pierce is a doctor. In fact, he delivers babies mostly in his career, but a while back ago, Jeffrey discovered lifestyle medicine, and him and his wife started a garden. And it was through this garden and his studies in lifestyle medicine and everything that he's gained a lot of great knowledge about, all of these just major health benefits that you get from a garden. One of the things that we think just right off the top, especially, if we're growing food in our gardens, is this nutritional food that we get to grow. It's a lot better tasting. There's a lot better nutrients when we're growing our own food. So we're getting a lot of great health benefits from that. But there's also all these other things. We touch on it all the time about also the mental health aspect of gardening. There's nothing better, than to go out into your garden if again, to escape from, whether or not you've had a bad day at work or things are just not going right at home or all of that sort of stuff. These things that can put a lot of weight on our lives, can be relieved, in our garden spaces as we connect with our gardens and nature and all of that as well too. So there's really great mental health benefits. And one of the other things too, that when I saw Jeffrey down at the National Heirloom Exposition, and he was given a talk about all of this, he was talking and mentioning all these sort of different things that we talked about last week. But also, there's physical health benefits as well to a garden. One of the things about caring for a garden is, we've got to get up, we got to get outside, or we got to get up around the house and take care of all of our plants and all of the things growing in our garden. So there's so many great benefits, mental, physical, nutritional, all sorts of really awesome benefits to gardening. And we covered all of that last week talking with Dr. Jeffrey Pierce. So you'll definitely want to go back and check that one out too if you didn't get a chance. We also got to meet Yasmin El Gabri from MCR Urban Gardener. She's an urban gardener out of Manchester, United Kingdom. And one of the things I thought was just really great about her story is that she just recently discovered gardening a couple of years back, getting involved with her neighborhood there in Manchester. They've got all of these just really great service alleys that run through all around the city. And in her neighborhood, they got together to go do an alleyway cleanup because these alleyways can just get cluttered with all sorts of stuff. And they cleaned up their alley and built out a garden and garden space there. And that's how she kind of discovered gardening. And, we talked about how she's hooked now. She's got an allotment. She's growing all sorts of different things, all from getting together with her community. And there's another really great benefit too. Also again too, community is a huge health benefit as well for us as well too. And being able to connect with others, especially around us, at home and all of that, in these garden spaces, whether it's this alleyway garden that brought her community together or allotment spaces or community gardens that we have here in the States. Great ways to connect with everybody around gardening. And, we love to build community through gardening here on our show. It was just a really awesome show last week. And so I really encourage all of you to go back and check out those shows. Also, too, and let's just mention this here real quick. And I really look forward to seeing everybody. And I hope you're all going to come show up. It's going to be this Thursday, which is Halloween, this Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We are going to have our special Halloween hangout live stream where we're all going to get together and watch. We've been doing this for years now, too. Get together and watch The Little Shop of Horrors, the original 1960 Roger Corman classic Little Shop of Horrors. And it's a public domain movie, so we're able to stream that live here on the show. Like I said, we've been doing this about 5-6 years now in a row. It's really fun to get together while we're all just pretty much hanging out, handing out treats to all the neighborhood kids as they're coming along and all of that as well too. So we'll watch the original 1960s classic, plus we'll do some fun discussion before and after the movie as well too. One of the things we're going to do is I'm going to give out, and at the beginning of this live stream, I'm going to give out our live stream link, the show link for that live stream, so that if you guys got your costumes on, or you got the kids with the costumes, or if you just want to join the conversations, no costumes required actually, but you can come and join with us for a couple of minutes and join in on the discussion. So I'll hand out that link, and that'll give everybody an opportunity to join in with us, as well as too, I'm going to put this email up here as well too, if you just want to maybe submit a picture or something to the show and all of that too. You know, again, got some costumes, or got your kids in costumes, or you're out at a Halloween party or something like that, snap a picture, send it to me at letsgetgrowing@mail.com, and we will show that there as well too during our live stream. That'll help make it a lot fun. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what everybody's got going on for Halloween during that great fun event we're going to have here coming up. So yeah, lots and lots of things going on, lots and lots happening here on the Let's Get Growing show. And yeah, all right, everybody, it's time. You know, as I mentioned here, each and every Sunday we get to go out into the garden with our good friend Mark Boucher Colbert. So let's go check out what he's got growing on over at his school garden.
Hey guys, it's Mark Boucher Colbert. Here I am. Today we're going to not focus on me, we're going to focus on some of our fields out here at Franciscan Montessori Earth School, where I'm the school gardener. This is in Portland, Oregon, and we're kind of looking at what's growing on in terms of late fall and winter production. Now here's some planting that I did on 9/11, spinach and radish. And you can see I've got some fertilizer notes. I like to put a tag for not only what I plant when I plant it, but also the fertilizer that I use. Just helps to get some more information. This was a potato field. We put it to buckwheat, and you can still see some of the buckwheat. That's buckwheat growing on the sides and the edges, still some in the middle too. But now from a 9/11 planting, we've got some really wonderful radishes that have sized up. Those are going to be harvested soon. As the radishes come out, the spinach is going to keep growing. So this is what's called succession planting. It's a great fall succession. I have to say I'm not super impressed with the spinach germination in here. And I was hoping for better from that space, which is a hybrid, and I've grown it before and I like it. Anyway, we've got a good planting of radishes. I'm eager to start harvesting those. A great late fall crop. They grow really fast. You can see I planted at 9/11 and it's already ready. Today is October 11th. So really just a month, really living up to their month-long reputation. We've got beds of that, 2 beds of that, pretty much identical. And then we come to a similar planting again that hasn't been thinned. That's about 2 weeks later. Let's see. Here I've got a tag for that. Always making tags, right? Space and redhead, using bone meal as a fertilizer. I like a lower nitrogen fertilizer that's going to stimulate good root development, especially because I'm mainly growing radishes here. That was on 9/23. So that needs to be thinned. I'm going to thin that on Monday. This is way too crowded there. We need to make room for those radishes to size up. I'm seeing a little bit more spinach in here, which is good. So I think that's going to be a good combo. And then because this is a late fall planting, it kind of serves as its own cover crop. And this will be ready for early spring planting, like lettuce. Probably do lettuce in here. We haven't done lettuce in this bed. The practice of moving plant families around. The radishes obviously in the mustard family, spinach in the chenopod family, I think. My gosh, I gotta look that up. I can't even remember. Chenopodiae, I think. That includes the beets and such, and the Swiss chard. But I could be corrected on that. If I better look that up, and we'll put a note in the program notes to see if I got that wrong. But anyway, we're gonna move families because that oftentimes breaks up pest cycles. So in the spring, I'm thinking of other family for this, and lettuce is in the Asteraceae, the aster family. So that works. That breaks that up. Like I said, we got 2 beds here, another sequence of this, and we'll be looking to see spinach hang around all winter and even perhaps size up a little in the spring. Here's a giant amaranth. We grow these elephant head amaranth, and I love this flower. Got a whole sea of them. I don't know if you can see too far in the background there, but let's expand for a minute. You can see one of our fields is just, no, I can't do it. Anyway, elephant head amaranth. Love having amaranths around. They're delicious in the spring, actually. The greens are wonderfully nutritious, very tender in the spring. I just literally scatter the seeds. This will get all brown. You can see there's a brownish patch here starting to emerge. If you can see that really well, let's see. Little brown. That when it gets completely brown, lots of tiny little brown seeds will fall out of that. And I just basically go around and sprinkle them all over. But it's just a magnificent kind of statement kind of flower. Love having that around. All right, let's go over to here to a second planting. Now, these are big fields and such, and of course, a home gardener may not be working on this scale, but hopefully some of the principles will transfer over. Crop rotation is definitely something that I think all gardeners should practice, no matter how small your beds or containers you're moving plants around. Here is another sequence. We've got kale from transplant, and then giant winter spinach coming up in between. So the kale will grow up tall. There's some giant winter spinach coming up there. And then the spinach will be down below. That seems to be germinating a little bit better than the other stuff, the space, which is, again, surprising to me. In the background, we have a wonderful planting of Brussels sprouts. And it's almost time to do something important for Brussels sprouts. It actually is time. And that's chopping the tops off. So I'm going to do one right here for you. Just going to off with its head. Ugh. Okay, I have literally just lopped off the top of the Brussels sprout. Why did I do that? Well, Brussels sprouts, like all other plants, exhibit this phenomenon called apical dominance. The top buds control the growth and development of the lower buds. And basically, the top bud is going to suppress the ones that are closest to it by the production of a hormone. And as you go further and further down the stalk, the other buds are able to grow more. So we're going to see sprout formation way down low here. And here the Brussels sprouts are like little cabbages that form in each node. They're basically what's called an axillary bud. We're going to see them form larger down at the bottom and smaller at the top in order to try to get more uniformity to the harvest, and especially if we want to harvest the whole stalk in December or January. We'd like to have a full stalk of pretty much equally sized Brussels sprouts. By chopping the top off, we're going to allow the top sprouts to start growing at a more rapid rate and kind of catch up with the bottom. So they've been dominated by that top or boss bud or apical bud, and now we just took that bossy bud away and we're letting them all become the bosses, so to speak. They're all going to start contending for top spot. So they're all going to start sizing up and catch up essentially with the buds down below. So that's a early October task that I do in the garden. I'm going to do the rest with the kids next week, where they like chopping things and cutting things. So this is a perfect job for them. We'll be cutting the rest of the tops off, essentially leaving our Brussels sprouts topless, so to speak, but in a very polite and non-lascivious way, topless Brussels sprouts. And that will encourage sprout formation. All right, we get the gift every year of incredible piles of mulch. And one is just straight up arborist mulch that you see in the far distance. Large, loose chips. This is some cedar, and I've been using it for two different purposes. The cedar I've been using kind of as in pathways and as a loose, nice, loose, fluffy mulch for potatoes. That was really good. The large mulch is great for suppressing weeds, also good for pathways too. This stuff is, you could cover a whole area, and indeed, let's go over to another bed here. This bed more or less was covered with mulch. We had garlic in it, just loose arborist mulch, the big chips. And I'm going to run one season of cover crop in here. I just did sprinkle some chicken manure in. With these large wood chips, I'm not really concerned about them taking all the nitrogen in the soil. Oftentimes, if you do mix in a very carbonaceous material like wood chips, they can steal nitrogen from your other crops. But I'm going to run various grain cover crop in here: wheat, rye, oats, and barley, kind of to show the kids the four common grains. I did put some nitrogen in the form of some pelletized chicken manure, organic fertilizer. That's going to counteract a little bit the effect of the high carbon, and I think those grains will do fine in here. If they don't, it's only a cover crop, so I have time to adjust before I do. This will go to fall kale. So kind of setting up, you see the gardener is always thinking a season or two in the future, like what's coming, what am I doing now to set that up? The grains will be a great competitor against spring weeds, and then when we harvest them in around July, it's perfect time to put in kale. So that should be wonderful. And then let's just spend a tiny bit of time on the garlic here. Putting in 3 rows of garlic that we've planted now. We have an Italian late, an early Italian purple, and this is I haven't labeled this kind yet, Sicilian. We did put down bone meal and azomite. Bone meal, low nitrogen, high phosphorus. I want this garlic to mainly get a good root system going, not so much green growth yet. So that nitrogen I'll be fertilizing much more heavily with some liquid nitrogen, some liquid fish emulsion in the spring. But for right now, I just want a good solid root formation, so I'm giving a good amount of phosphorus. Azomite is a generalized mineral supplement that's just good for all-around growth. And you can see we've dug furrows. We're planting the garlic in the furrow, approximately 4 to 5 inches apart. And since kids did it, there's some irregularity. I have to go over and kind of take out some of them and reshuffle a few of them. And then we're putting this loose cedar, because we have a lot of it, as a mulch over that. Now I'm trying to be careful. This stuff I don't really want to stir into the soil so much because it's so much smaller. I do think this could steal some of the nitrogen from the soil because the particle sizes are just so much smaller that reactions happen a lot more quickly on small things than on large things. And so chemical reactivity could be higher with this stuff. So I'm going to have to be a little careful. It did stir a little bit into the soil. I might have to over nitrogenate it, however you want to say it. Anyway, you can see everything's measured out. I leave a lot of room between my rows. In this case, about 2 feet. One row is over here. Next one's not till here. And I just have realized in the past that there's a lot of cultivation, a lot of weeding that's needed in the garlic patch. That's what's growing on here at Franciscan Montessori Earth School. We have a lot of other things going on. I know last time we talked about cover crops, but hopefully this little walk through some of our fields has given you some visuals, given you some ideas. More garlic there. This bed is not so good. This one had a plastic tarp. Sometimes I use, instead of a mulch or a cover crop, I use a silage tarp, which is just a covering to kill the weeds. And that's what happened here. We did fertilize with bone meal. We did plant some hardneck garlic here. I've got one more variety that I'm going to plant. Not expecting as good of yields here, or I'm going to have to fertilize a lot more in the spring. So it's kind of a toss-up. But right now I know this soil that has not been worked before besides just having the weeds killed. We might have had one cover crop on it that did poorly. So this is going to take a lot more work. I don't remember if I did any liming here to pH balance it. Sometimes our northwest soils tend to go acidic, at least on the rainy side of the Cascades. So it may need some pH balancing. I'm just starting out in this field, and clearly I do not have a good grasp on the fertility needs of it. Some soil testing will also be in order, but I'm just jumping in with some garlic just to see how it does, figuring I can provide a lot of nitrogen in the liquid form early in the season, and maybe some blood meals tilled into the soil. So might cost a little more to get the crop to maturity, but I'm willing to do it for some of these fields. So we've got a lot of logs. Yes, you probably have noticed that we have a lot of logs. Anyway, we have a lot of land here. This was an old soccer field. It's not really being used much anymore for soccer and sports. We're slowly taking over the edges, and eventually we might make a bid for the whole thing. But right now, all we can do is the edges. So here's some views of the fall garden at Franciscan Montessori Earth School, one of the places where I do a lot of gardening and try to hand on the wisdom to the next generation. I hope you've benefited a little from this tour, and we'll see you next time when, once again, you're in the garden with NBC. Take care.
Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible feature visits. So, all right. So what do you got going on in your fall garden right now? So many things happening, so many things growing on right now. What do you have growing on? Definitely jump into our chat and let us know what you got growing on this fall. And again, lots and lots of great things growing on over there at the Montessori school that Mark works at there too. They've always got something great. Mark's always growing something good. He's got all these great, awesome spaces. So really awesome of him to join with us for that segment there as well too. And also, I just want to get in here and jump in real quick before we get moving on to our great guests today, and welcome everybody into the show. Of course, we want to welcome our facilitator, Jay Dixon, joining for us from Midwestern Ontario, Canada. Thank you so much, Jay, for joining with us today and helping us out and facilitating our chat and dropping in all of those really, really awesome links. And of course, we've got to welcome our good friend Rick, joining us from the future over there in Australia right now, waking up nice and early to come and hang out with us here on the Let's Get Growing show. Thank you so much, Rick, for taking your time to be with us today. And of course, we've got our good friend Adam joining us from right down the road. Great to see you, Adam. Thanks for joining in today. I see that we had Dave over here from Bowtie Life in the Garden, and he says, good evening from the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. And he says that he's in day one of a 5-day crossing over to the Bahamas. So having a fun time crossing over the Atlantic right now, heading back home towards Florida there. So yeah, really awesome to see you, Dave. Thank you for joining with us there. And also I see Connie joining in, saying hello to everybody. Great to see you, Connie. Plus, I see we also had Darth X joining with us, and he says, wow, never knew that about Brussels sprouts. Neither did I, until I got to see this segment with Mark here as I was putting that together. And I'm going to have to go out there, do that with my Brussels sprouts. We'll see how they turn out. Again, I'm always really just trying to keep those things alive and from all these, pest infestations and all of that. So we've got a couple that are looking pretty decent decent, and then a couple that are looking kind of raggedy, but we'll get them hopefully growing really well here real soon is soon too. Plus, he was mentioning there too about garlic. That's one of the big things I've got to get growing on right now is our garlic, getting that planted out here this week. We've grown most of our garlic over at my friend Mike's place. We grew tons, over like 300 heads of it this last year. We might cut it down to just a little bit less this year, but yeah, we're going to get out this week and get those planted out too. So we've got a lot of great things growing on. I hope you all have some great things growing on in your fall garden as well. If you haven't started your garlic, definitely got plenty of time still. So definitely get out there and start up that garlic there. And yeah, also real quick here before we move on to, I just wanted to mention I get asked this a couple of times here throughout the last several weeks and all of that. And I mentioned earlier and months ago too, is it's actually been almost 4 months. And as you can see, I did change my picture in the background right there. And here's a picture of my granddaughter, Layla. So everybody's been asking about how she's doing and all of that. And she's growing just beautifully, as you can tell. Just such a wonderful experience that I'm just enjoying. Like I said, I can't believe it's already almost 4 months. In fact, 4 months tomorrow. Her birthday is on the 28th. Or her monthly birthday right now as well. So it's great to again, I'm gonna get right after the show and go and hang out with them for my birthday. And that's going to be my big present for today, is just getting to hang out with that beautiful little girl, my little princess Layla. So awesome. So, all right, everybody, we've made them wait and hang out a little bit long enough. So let's get these guys in here. It's time for our Sunday Roundtable. All right. So joining us for our Sunday Roundtable this week, we've got our good friends. Let's see here. Make sure I got this set up right too. Our good friend Khang Starr and Christopher Brandsdal joining with us here today on the show. Back again. Really love this. We get, usually only get to talk to you guys over the last several years, once a year. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to bug these guys to keep coming back on throughout the season. It's just been great. Thanks again for joining with us again here today.
I like this new scheduling.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I get to talk to you guys more often now.
Yeah.
That's right. I love it too. We're gonna have to keep this going for sure right into next year as well. But again, it's always great hanging out with you guys. My first live stream buddies that I got to do my first live stream with a few years back and all of that. So definitely great to hang out with you and have a really great conversation today. So especially too, I was like, you know what, it's my birthday and I'm going to be hanging out. I might as well hang out with my really good friends. So it's awesome to have you guys here today.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Awesome. So yeah, let's get around here and talk about, I was just mentioning a couple of the things that I've got going on here in the fall garden and all of that. What do you all got going? We'll start with you, Khang, over there, and tell us a little bit what's going on down there in Texas.
Okay, so Texas is still very hot right now. It's going to be in the 80s today.
Wow.
So we're coming to an end of the fruit season.
Yeah.
But October is persimmon season. So I actually brought a few to show you guys. I mean, there are hundreds of these under trees right now. And in October, that's when persimmons are ready. I'm growing the Fuyu variety. So that, the gyro Fuyu and the giant Fuyu. Those are the ones that are non-astringent. When you eat it, as soon as it changes color a little bit, and it's still very, very sweet. And you can... the birds love it as much as you do, so you got to try to fight them for it,
Right.
And then
you need to have them in bags.
The bags does help a little bit, but we have squirrels also, and so they'll dig right through the bags. And I mean, they love persimmons too.
Yeah, squirrels don't let anything get in their way, do they?
Yeah, sometimes they're a big pain because even if they don't eat it, they'll poke at it and they'll just make it all drop, for no reason at all. So
Right.
Yeah, so I'm trying to fight them off right now. So far, it's working. It's just being out there and making sure that you know what their habits are, what time they come visit during the day. And they tend to try to avoid you and stuff like that. So it's been working so far. And then my peppers are coming to a close end of the season. I picked a bunch of lemon starbursts right here.
Oh yes.
Some for you guys to see. These are so beautiful, guys. And yeah, these are isolated peppers. So I'm collecting a bunch of seeds. So
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have got out there in my garden because out of all of the peppers I grew, we had lots of them that were really good, but those lemon starburst did so well. You know what I mean? Even though I was even a bit neglectful of my plants a bit during this season and all of that, they did really super well. So I've got several of those out there in the garden too. I should have got some in the show you. Keep forgetting.
Yeah.
I'll have to do that.
That's, the funny thing about peppers is the more you care for them, the less they grow. And if you just leave them alone, eat them every once in a while, they tend to just do very well. So if you over care for them, they don't do as well. I mean,
yeah, I find that to be very true. The only thing really is we're growing in those, those earth pots, the earth buckets, water wicking buckets and all that. So all I got to do is just really make sure that reservoir's got enough water in it in the summertime. And then after that, that's all I got to do with the peppers. Like you said, they just really kind of do their thing and grow well.
Yeah. And besides that, I'm starting to get the fall planting going. Radishes, I saw, you showed the video of the radishes. I love growing radishes. They're easy, they're fast, and you can eat the whole plants, roots, top, and everything. So I really love them. I grow a lot of them, and I let them go to seeds because I collect the seeds to grow microgreens also. If you have not had microgreens, radishes, oh my God, you guys are missing out. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, actually, right here. I'll just show you right here, right now. Yesterday on the show, I had my good friend Mike Van Doozy, and he's got a channel called Keep On Growing, and he created these. And I know you guys are really into this, so I want to make sure I showed you too. He created these cool little adapters that you can put, water bottles on, or even small lidded mason jars. So it'll fit either a mason jar or a regular bottle on them. And then you can set them in like a container or something. In fact, he was using them in those 20 trays to grow some and everything. And you mentioned radishes. I've got radishes growing in here right now too. And they're already, I can see, getting ready to start bringing up the greens and everything as well right now too. But this is my first little foray into kind of like, I don't know if you would call it hydroponic or that sort of thing, but water-based food growing,
Yeah, you're getting there with the hydroponic stuff.
Get in there, definitely.
So the radishes are going right now. And speaking of leaving things alone, they grow better. So I've been struggling to grow these giant radishes, right? And I guess over the years, I tried to care for them too much. Yeah. So I had a few plants that dropped from last season. The seeds just scattered. And they're grown in my grass where the clay soil is so hard that you can't even dig into them.
Oh, yeah.
But the radish is grown enormous. I mean, I didn't even grow it. It just grew up by itself. And so all these years I'm trying to grow it, it didn't work. And it grew on its own. And it's a massive ball of radish right now.
just breaks right in there and just gets expanding. And some root crops are just kind of amazing like that, and how they'll just penetrate in and then just loosen everything up in their expansion and all of that too. Are they like a daikon variety?
It's some kind of Japanese. I think it's called the Sakurajima radish. Where they grow them in this volcanic rock when they get like 50 pounds radish.
Oh, wow.
But the seeds that I bought, that's what it's labeled. But I never gotten anything larger than 10 pounds. But the one I'm growing right now outside on its own, it's getting to around 10 pounds by itself in hard clay soil. It's ridiculous.
As long as there's no rocks or stones there, they will just move everything.
Yeah.
It's just the same way as you see when you see dandelions going through asphalt. It's just the same Water
Yeah.
can move everything. So
It just blows me away. I've actually got some tomatillos that keep getting keeps getting kicked up to the top and all of that, and they're growing right out in the driveway, the gravel driveway, like it's no big deal. One of the things I did want to mention about radishes as well, too, one of my favorite things about them, because they are really multi-use. Like you said, radish greens are delicious. You get all those new young greens and everything. Add those to your salads. You'll really, really love it. But again, too, I also allow several of my radishes, to go to seed. Of course, I want to get those nice, big, healthy, just delicious looking ones and let those ones go to seed. But I let several of them do that, because what I'll do with most of those that I let go to seed is collect those young little seed pods. So that I can harvest a bunch of those seed pods and I save them up and freeze them up like you would with green beans or something like that, or use them fresh and everything as well too. They're very delicious. And then we'll let a couple of the plants just go directly and let the seeds mature, and then use those seeds again for either microgreens during our wintertime grow here we do in the house, or also having some seed for next year's crops as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of those pods that you mentioned, I made a video on one of those things where you can use those young pods, and they're delicious. They taste just like regular radishes. And the one plant that produces the most that I've ever seen is the daikon. They produce thousands of these little seed pods. And I mean, I pickle them, and just one plant is all you need. I mean, I'm telling you, you're going to get like thousands of them.
Wow. Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna have to do then. I haven't never really tried that, so I'll have to put some I don't usually grow the daikons. I really like the just the more of the garden varieties. Just the quick ones that grow really quickly, and you can really get in and enjoy those really fast. I always recommend to new gardeners, if you want some quick successes in your garden to keep moving you and motivating you further along, definitely grow some radishes. They're so quick and they grow so easily and all that. And again, like you're saying, they're such multi-use. But I'll have to put some daikons in the garden next year just for those seed pods.
And they grow very well in hydroponic.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything that doesn't?
Right, no doubt.
I think that's the thing with me and Chris. We're pushing the like what cannot be grown in hydroponic.
Yeah,
because Chris did it already.
You can grow cacti in hydroponics, so everything everything can grow in water.
Yeah, I did. I grew aloe in hydroponic, and you think aloe hates water, but you can grow it in hydroponic. It's crazy.
That's pretty wild to think that, again, too, if I give my aloe here indoors any water too soon, that thing is giving me like, what did you do to me? That I have to, you have to hold it back and not give it so much water and everything, but to think that they would grow so well in just a water base without any soil. And
we should do a separate segment on aloe alone, because I have been experimenting with aloe for the past 2 years, and I'm telling you guys, I found so many things that people have not, or I have not seen done before, and it's amazing. And so one of the things that I did was, because when I grow aloe, they produce so many pubs, right? And during the winter time, I had to take them inside because they'll freeze and die. Yeah. And so what I do is I pull all of these pups out. I cut everything off, like no roots at all. I put it in an Amazon box, and I left it in my garage for 6 months.
Yeah.
Because the cool temperature will keep them from drying out and dying, so they don't need water through the whole time. All you need is a little light. I open the garage when it's warm enough. And then during the springtime, I bring them out and I put all of the pups in a bucket of water, like a 5-gallon bucket. I just stuck it in there and I place them in the sun, and all of them sprout roots.
Wow.
And from nothing. And then I left the bucket for 1 year.
Oh, wow.
in the semi-shaded area. It's still outside right now. It's still alive. I mean, I didn't feed it. All I put was water, and it gets all the energy from the sun. Of course, it's not as healthy as what you grow in the ground, but it didn't die. So if you want to keep your aloe alive, just put him in a bucket of water and leave it in the sun. It'll stay alive for a whole year,
Wow. That's
even
great.
without roots.
Yeah.
Right, right. And again, too, you still gotta, they didn't dry out, the water didn't dry out.
Yeah. So the
Wow.
bucket is still right. I have 2 buckets right now. They're still there. I took it out the other day. I lifted up. There's still roots there. They're white roots, of course, because they're water roots, but
Right.
they didn't die. And
Yeah,
so
I just love all those fun, almost even accidental experiments that you come up with there as well, too. Right on, Christopher, all the way up there in Norway. I bet it's getting really cold. I see you kind of got a sweater on there.
Yeah, we had
How things
snow
going there?
yesterday. Last night it was snowing. So yeah, the season is definitely over. And I did actually do some gardening today outside in the greenhouse. I am trying to gain control, which is of course impossible. But I need to get rid of everything in the greenhouse. So I threw out a lot of things, and I'm going to do something to prepare my fig tree for the winter. So I'm going to do some enclosure for just the fig tree, and I'm going to have a small heating plate underneath the plant. I'm just using for those you have seen the 3D printers where you have the heat bed at the bottom. It's just a PCB, so it's just an electrical thing you can connect power to, and it heats up a little bit. It's a few watts, and I'm using that. I've been using it for several years, and it's just perfect because you just get some heating. It's not like an oven. It's just something to keep it going. So so yeah, I've been doing that, and I did all my garlic. So I heard you were talking about doing the garlic, and I actually did it today. So I took up all the garlic from this year, and I replanted some of the what's it called?
The
Garlic
cloves.
the cloves, yeah.
Yeah.
So everything is ready for spring, and it's getting so close to frost now. But so I'm not going to gain too much. But in the greenhouse, it starts at least 2, maybe 3 months earlier than outside, because you get those really hot days also in the early spring, late winter. So the garlic tends to really grow fast in the beginning. So that's why I really just wanted to get the cloves in, and then I'm gonna have garlic a few months earlier next year, I guess. So yeah, I did some gardening.
Yeah, nothing like getting your garlic in the ground too. As I always tell people, that was one of those first real lessons in gardening I needed to go through when it came to growing things, because, as a gardener, we're getting started in the springtime. We got all of our seeds and all that sort of stuff. And I just remember my first couple of years when I got this extra space, my first couple of years of trying to grow garlic, I was taking those cloves and putting them in little seed cells right along with all of the other things, trying to root them up, or then putting them out in the garden and all of that in the spring and through the summertime and everything, and was just wondering each of those first couple of seasons, why ain't I getting those nice big bulbs like I get at the grocery store? And it took, for a while for me to kind of finally figure out, wait a minute, you need to get out before it gets really cold in the fall time and get those things growing. And ever since then, and getting that figured out, learning that little learning curve there, one of my favorite things to grow, because again, too, it's one of those things where really you just get it out into the garden at the right time, put it out there, and then you can just pretty much set it and forget it. You know what I mean? Especially for where I grow too, because again, I don't have to worry about watering it much. In fact, really even feeding. Garlic doesn't really even need much feeding of any sort of things. Just, regular good, good soil for anything else. We get them growing really well. But, we're harvesting right as it gets to be summertime. So before the heat comes in and all the rain goes away and everything, it's about time to harvest those things. So it just makes it so easy. Just pop them in the ground, let them do their thing, and harvest them, about 9 months later. It's like having a baby, right?
So I'm watering mine in late May. That's the last time I water my garlic, and
Yeah.
it's ready. It's ready in the late summer. So they go all summer without having watering. It's just the moisture in the air in the greenhouse that's enough for them. So it's really
Yeah.
simple. And I do half cloves, and I do half those small seeds that you
Well,
get from the flowers.
yeah, the little blue
And
bulbs.
yeah, and I use those for 2 generations.
Yep.
So I have like uh, there's no need to do it, but I just like to get more. So
Yeah.
I just do that. And I also like those. They remind me of the Chinese garlic, which are those single bulb garlics
Yeah.
that we can get at the store here. And it's just one gigantic garlic
Similar to
without
like a
bulbs.
wild garlic too. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I like to do that. So that's why I do it this and that. And I always try to give away. I have like a patch in the greenhouse where I throw all the seeds, and they just grow like chives in the spring, and I
Mhm.
can give them out to whoever want to keep the same
Yeah.
type of garlic going.
Yeah, I've actually collected a bunch of these little bubles is what they're called, or
Yeah,
little
bulbs.
bulblets even. You can call them bulblets even. But I collected some several years ago, and I've had them around and been meaning to kind of like give them a try and see how well that works. So this last year, I finally put them in a pot and got them growing and everything. And so they're growing, they're getting ready for, and hopefully we'll get them into their second year this next year and see how well they do from there. So that's a really fun experiment as well too.
And they're very, very good to use, almost like a chive. You can use
Yeah.
them when they're really young. It's almost like a garlic microgreen, where you
Hmm.
can just use that in whatever cooking you're doing. And I found that in guacamole, for instance, it's really nice to have those fresh greens instead of just the bulbs on the garlic. It's more of a fresher taste, I feel. So yeah, I love
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that sounds good. I'll have to add some of those to some guacamole for sure.
And I need to show. I harvested some since Kang is doing show and tell. I
Oh
also need
yes.
to do. This is
That's nice.
this is my own cross. It's
Oh.
a cross of shishito and sugar rush peach.
Oh
So
wow.
Very nice.
it's a fun fruit. It grows and it looks like a shishito,
Mhm.
but it's a baccatum, and the plant gets enormous. It's the largest one in the greenhouse, and it produces hundreds of these pods, and they are really, really good. They're not so they are more similar to sugar rush peach than they are to the shishito. But
Yeah. In
yeah,
the flavor and heat.
yeah, the flavor is a typical baccatum. They taste like a red baccatum, so it's not as sweet as a sugar rush, but it's more like I don't know what to compare it to, but many of the red backatums, it's very similar to those, and it's not too hot, so it's a nice one to use in regular food, I think. But the problem is that this is I've been trying. This is the fourth time I'm doing the same seed,
Yeah.
and I've never been able to get seeds from it.
Oh
Of
wow.
course, and Kang is just waiting for that part of the
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the story here.
Me
So
too.
but I've found that now this plant has been producing fruits for 7-8 months now, and finally some of the pods are starting to put out one single seed and
One
nothing
little
more.
seed. Oh wow.
So I'm trying now to see if I can scrap together a couple of seeds, maybe to get started on a new one. I was
Yeah.
thinking to if I can get it to germinate now, I want to do it as
So those would be considered still F1s. So
no,
you
those will be F2.
Yeah.
F2. Yeah, okay, there
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
So when they grow out, and I want to have that in the new grow room. I want to try to see if I can get one going. It's just a fun variety, and I love shishitos. And the strange thing is that when I pick shishitos and this one at the same time, I have a hard time distinguishing between them. And The only way I make sure that it's not the same is I look at the length of the stock, because this is Baccatum. It's too long for a shishito.
Oh, wow. That's really great. I got to get in on that too as well. It's one thing I've never done. I love growing peppers. In fact, I'm sure that's how I've discovered Khang's channel and all of that years and years ago. But I love growing peppers and all sorts of different varieties each and every year. But and that's one of the things I do is I always start new every year. I don't save seeds. I don't do all that sort of stuff. I get some mystery crosses every now and then that'll pop in the garden, with some seeds that drop on old pods or something. But I've never purposely gone out and tried to cross my own varieties or try to make my own variety of pepper. So I think I need to give that a shot maybe this next year.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a lot of fun because you not know what you're going to get next season.
Yeah,
I have a cross right now that I've been growing for a few years, and same with Chris, because it's an incompatible cross across genetics. It's a Scotch bonnet, which is a Chinense variety, and I've crossed it with the annuum, which is a Thai, and supposedly it's not supposed to work, but it did work, and it produced one of the largest plants that I have out there right now. It's going on its third year because I always take it inside during the winter months. And the stalk is like 2 inches across. It seems like it's huge. And I mean, there's so many pods, but when I collect the pods, they have like 1 seed every 10 pods I may get 1 seed or something.
Yeah.
Which is good for, using it, because seeds don't taste good. They have a tough texture.
Yeah.
But
and
if you want
for
grow
using
it,
yeah, so when you have 200-300 of these pods, and if you want to use it in a hot sauce or something, you can really have a seedless hot sauce, and it's great for consuming, but it's not so great for keeping alive.
yeah.
Right.
So you had to overwinter it, because not knowing that the seed will sprout, I was like, I got to save this one because I really love it,
Yeah,
But
I would love to. I used to before, but I've had so much trouble with it. I always love to grow. I start them indoors, all my peppers, and I move them out to the greenhouse, and they grow beautifully and they grow huge in the greenhouse. They have nothing to no winds and nothing to break them, so they grow really big. But I always want to try to bring them back in, but it's such a hassle, because in the greenhouse I get spider mites so much that it's just like a brown carpet going all over the greenhouse at the end of the season, because there's no rain. There's no water to control the growth and the production of the nesting that they're doing, or the webs. So I am so afraid. I'm so afraid to bring it in, because I can clean it. I can cut it all the way down. I can clean it thoroughly, but still there might be some eggs or something going on there that, there's just no way of knowing.
Just too risky.
Yeah, and you don't know, because they use like 3 or 4 weeks from that stage before you can see some indication of having issues. And at that point in like the new grow room, the game's over. If you're already at that stage, then so it's such a bad thing to see those beautiful plants just die off in the winter time. But it's just the name of the game, I guess.
Yeah, that's just a hard lesson to learn too. I've had to go through several years ago too. Bringing things in, the idea of overwintering some stuff and bringing them in and all of that, and the only real space I've got, or maybe another room that's across the house a little bit. But even at that point, I find it maybe just to be too risky, because they find their way around your house real easy indoors, and can really start decimating everything else. And I got too much to be worried about here to be trying to be bringing things in from outdoors and all of that.
There's a huge risk, though. You're right. Chris is right, because you never know. Just one little egg somewhere that you cannot see, and then 3 weeks later, you have so many of them that you're like, "What happened?" All of a sudden, they just started showing up. But they've been there. You just didn't see them.
It was one of my trying to do some citrus was trying to grow this citrus tree in a container that I had, and I brought it in, and I thought I cleaned that sucker down really well, all of that sort of stuff. But then again, I wasn't really thinking too much about the soil and that sort of stuff, and it just created such a problem. Like you said, all the spider mites and all that sort of stuff that happened is just, and they were just too hard to keep up with. And luckily I was able to get it out and get everything else all right in the house, pretty much, that survived and everything. And it's just such a terrible thing to have to go through when you get those types of pests that can just create so much damage.
It is a matter of what type of room you have, because, for instance, here in the office, if I bring in something that has a pest problem, I keep them as far apart as possible, and then I can control the problem. It's not going from plant to plant, because I can control it somewhat, and I am able to get rid of it. I've had thrips in here on some plants, and I've had spider mites on some, and I've been able to get rid of that problem without any hassle, and it doesn't spread. But when you have a grow room like you have, when you see you're in the back there, if you bring a plant into that, everybody has it within 5 minutes. So it's when you have too much going on, that's the problem. And that's what people sometimes misunderstand online, because they read about people, oh, you just have to clean it and you just have to, that's no problem at all. But if you have a real grow room where you have thousands or hundreds of 50 plants going, the problem is just devastating, and you're getting
it's too hard to keep up when you have such an indoor jungle. Basically, it's just they're running away from you basically and finding new places to hide and everything. Once you start taking care of them over here, then they pop up over there, and it just spreads everywhere and all of that. What are some of the things that you do to kind of mitigate or take care of some of those on your indoor garden? Like the thrips and things.
For me, I have a designated space for the plants that I bring inside. And for the plants that I grow indoor completely, those have their own space. So that helped a lot. And also, of course, you always go through the procedure. You got to cut it down, spray it down, wash it off, use the new soil, and then take it inside. You try your best to eliminate some of the problems that you can bring it inside. But it's always best to have a designated area for plants that you are overwintering, and not, of course, mix it with what you have in the background. That's not a good idea.
And like if I get new plants or anything too that I bring in, say I purchase a new plant or something like that, I still put it over in the other room to kind of see what happens and see what kind of comes up and all of that, to make sure. And if it's, after a while it's all clear and I'm not noticing anything like that, then it can kind of move its way over and join the rest of the crowd. But
I've made a 2-month quarantine for plants that I buy, because when you buy them at the as garden center, you are going to get something. You're either going to get thrips or spider mites, or you get mealybugs. That's a fun one. That's a really fun one to have.
Oh gosh.
and you get one of those without a doubt. And but you can't see it right away, because some of those plants are coming into the warehouses and they might be clean, and they get infestated when they arrive at the garden center, because they just try to get plants out again. So they don't do a controlled getting in, getting out situation. So, and then the plant get in there, pick up something, you bring it home, looks fine, but there's something there always. So you need to keep it separate. And for instance, when I do drastical things, because I'm too scared. So when I buy something, I try to cut it all the way down. I try to take out the soil. I remove that. I scrub the roots with a scrubbing brush or a brush of some sort. And I completely remove all leaves if possible on anything that I buy. So I'm trying to start with a dead plant, to be honest, because it's so dangerous. But then again, it sounds drastic, but it's just when you want to have a grow room with 100+ plants, then you really need to do it that way. because
Yeah.
losing all those plants and restarting, that's no fun.
Yeah.
Take it from me, that's not fun.
But also the garden center, you always come home with fungus gnats in the soil. So that's
Yeah. Those are like that's like for sure.
Yeah.
That's the one that's just for sure. You're definitely bringing fungus gnats and everything too.
And they're so annoying. They just fly everywhere.
But fungus gnats is the only thing that I've never ever had any issues with, and that's because when I start up a new season in the grow room, I always buy predatory mites for fungus gnats, and they thrive on those. I've tried predatory mites on all sorts of other problems, and they are not able to keep up. But on fungus gnats, no problem. When I introduce the predatory mites into the garden, into the grow room, I introduce them into my indoor composting where I keep all the leaves and cuttings and everything, and they just explode in growth, and you have a huge culture, and then you mix it in a little bit in all your soil samples, in all your pots and everywhere you store soil, and then it's just they just go on for years and years and years. So you might get a flush of fungus gnats the first 2-3 weeks, but then after a month or maybe 1.5 months, it's gone and it never comes back. So the predatory mites for fungus gnats is just amazing if you have a lot of plants, but you need to have enough so they will always have food and they will always have decomposing material, and it's not enough if you have 1 or 2 houseplants, then you will not be able to sustain a culture going. But if you have a lot going, then predatory mites is just a blessing on those at least.
Yeah, I got to look into getting some of those for sure. So that's something you just get at a garden center or you order online, or?
Yeah, I order them. So since I run a business, I have a business account at a large where all the garden centers buy their plants and predatory mites from. So I get them directly from that. And the ones that I have used, I think, if I remember correct, they called Hypoaspis miles, I think is the Latin name for it. And they are just amazing. And it doesn't cost anything to just get you just get a bottle with the vermiculite, and it says like 30,000 or 50,000 mites in it. And you just love seeing in the pots, and when you see things crawling and you know it's the right ones, that's just a good feeling.
Right. So they're pretty visible then too. So
they're really tiny, so you need to look for them. But it's like a spider mite almost, at the size of a spider mite. And they just live in the soil, and they eat the fungus gnat larvas, and if there's no fungus gnat larvas, they eat the decomposing materials. So that's why I always, when I cut my plants, I leave the leaves on the soil to make sure that the culture has something to chew on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then, like you said, you would get these in the mail, and then you have an indoor compost as well too. So that's kind of where you
so I have so
farm
many
them,
plants.
basically.
Yeah, I have so many plants, so I make my own indoor compost because it's the best thing to grow in. To be honest, when you do only leaves and you do some small branches and stuff like that, you make phenomenal compost. And I always recycle that, and I move that into the soil mix again, and then back into it, and I take a scoop of soil back into the compost once it tries to go a little bit watery. So that's why I keep it, and that's like my grow room for my predatory mites, because when you put it down there, and like the indoor compost, that's like paradise for fungus gnats. So so that's a good place to keep the stock going.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to look into maybe getting some of those, as I'm always dealing with that sort of stuff. It's just, again, too, it's also, comes with having so many plants, in my, basically my indoor jungle.
Yeah. I've never tried the mites indoors, but I see them on my outdoor gardens.
Yeah.
I do see them a lot.
Yeah.
There's some mites that they look like spider mites. They're kind of like a red color, but they're really fast. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
Oh,
Are those the same kind?
No, I don't know what that is. I see it out in the garden here,
Yeah.
and they run really fast, but they're a
They're
little bit bigger.
Yeah, they're a little
yeah,
bit
that's
bigger.
what I was gonna
They're
say.
really
I
fast.
noticed them, they seem a little
They never
bigger.
bother your plants, and they're always at the bottom of the soil. They're
Yeah.
just running around, just chasing something.
Jeez.
That's one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder
You
if
got it.
some of those mites, the predatory mites, because usually they're super fast.
Yeah, you'd almost think that they are doing something in a way, because if they're not affecting negatively
Yeah, they're
the
not.
thing, then they've got to be kind of taking care of something in a positive way. They're
Yeah.
feeding on something, they're doing something there.
Yeah.
I always leave them if I don't know what they are, because
Yeah.
until I find that they're not good, then I'll treat them. But other than that, every animal in the garden stays.
Yeah, but if something is not good, then you usually notice that almost
exactly.
right away, and at least in the indoor garden also. And I've seen so many things about those really, really small white ones. I think they're called springtails. That stays in the pot, and at least when you have a lot of organic material, then you get tons of springtails. And I've seen people telling all sorts of things about how horrible these things are, and you need to get rid of them, and you need to treat your. But that's really what you want to see in your soil. You want to see those small helpers that really try to break down. Because if you kill everything that breaks down organic material, then you don't have organic soil anymore. It's just going to be a dead soil. So
Exactly.
so when you go in there with a magnifying glass, there is actually things living in the soil, and that's normal. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's really what you want, is a great living soil and all of that too. And again, too, I think a lot of people just kind of take a look at, it's a little bug or it's a little something, so it has to possibly have some sort of negative effect and all of that too. So, and again, seeing those sort of things is actually a really good thing, because your soil's got to break down somehow.
And I always encourage spiders. When I see spiders in the grow room, I always move them to the plants, because they are probably the best, I think, at cleaning up.
Yeah, they do. They
Yeah,
are.
and when you have enough plants, it's really hard to even get rid of them anyways. They're around. I've constantly got to go. And I mean, I'd like to encourage, enough of them in a sense, but not too much. I don't want my place to turn into just cobwebs and all of that, or webbing everywhere. So I have to kind of get in every now and then and start, taking some webs down and clean it up just a little bit. But, just within a short period of time, they're popping up everywhere. Like I can already see tons of webs right over here I might have to get to. But there's a lot of things that are beneficial and can do your grow room well.
But the thing is that when you get to a certain size, like I see your wall of plants there, you're almost there where you say, I really need just a separate room for these things, because it kind of turns into a jungle. It's kind of bringing nature indoors, and as you said with the spiders, and you need to keep the balance and that thing. And that's what I always loved about the way I've been growing it, with having a dedicated room with nothing else in it, and it's just closed off. And like you, Khang, you have a garage and you're doing stuff like that, and you also have a separate room. And it's just you get to the point where you want to welcome spiders instead of having them indoors, and you kind of want, I can handle a couple of them, but it's so and that's also a fear that people have with them. For instance, buying 50,000 predatory mites. It doesn't sound good. It's not something you want to buy. But
I think Chris is right. There's certain insects that may look scary or may seem like they don't belong. Like, for example, in my garden, every time you go out there, there's like 20, 30 wasps flying around. But those guys are really good for their garden, because they're
excellent.
all the worms and stuff, and sometimes they make a nest at the side of my house. You know, of course, most pest people, they will come and take them all off. I just leave them. I just let them go. You know, make unless they become a problem, then I remove them. But other than that, those guys, they're doing so much for you in the garden. Like they're eating all these caterpillars. I haven't had caterpillars or hornworms in a long time because these guys keep scouting the entire area. I've seen one where they tear the worms into pieces and take it away. You ever seen those? And those things, they do look scary, and but they're harmless. They just go around eating all these worms and you know keep your garden nice and clean for you 24/7.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I say too. And again, it comes down to a sense of kind of like just this innate fear of certain things. And I grew up with a massive fear of, you know, flying, stinging things, whether it was bees or wasps, or even up in the Pacific Northwest, we have a lot of the horse flies, you know, things that'll bite you, you know, that sort of stuff. And I've just constantly had like this major fear of them. I was one of those kids that, you know, saw a bee coming my way and I'm flailing down the road, running from them my best. But one of the things I recommend also to new gardeners all the time is that, you know, take that understanding into account that, you know, some of these things that you are afraid of and have a certain level of fear for can be very, very beneficial to your garden. So what you want to kind of do is, what I say is, turn your fear into a fascination.
Yes.
When you see them flying around, step back, watch what they do. You know, and especially with the wasps, they're really so cool. Like you're saying, they'll fly around and they're up and under and flying around under your leaves and doing all this sort of stuff as they're hunting for all of these caterpillars or different things that can be really, you know, damaging to your plants and all of that. You know, bees and pollinators and other things as well too. You know, and of course, spiders have always really been one of my favorite things as far as whatever. I was really afraid of flying things, but spiders always really fascinated me from when I was young and all of that. And I let them all. I don't mess with any spider, even the really, you know, we get tons of black widows around here as well. Not really tons, I won't say that, but we do get some black widows, you know. And again too, they just kind of hide and do their things in little, you know, like want to hide off in a little dark humid space and all of that, and maybe crawl out every now and then to do some hunting or something like that, but they don't really bother much of anything, and they're kind of taking care of some of these other pests that can become a problem down the road. And so really in the long run, it's again too, just kind of step back. Don't go and tear the web down or the nest of wasps or all of these sort of things, you know. Just kind of take a step back, know that they're there, know that that's where they are, you know. Again too, when I identify where my widows are, you know, that's where they're going to be. They don't move, they don't go anywhere else, you know. They don't go crawling out very far and take off, or, you know, in very far distances or anything. So I know where they're at. I know where it's at. That's good. And then again too, I'm not going to go stick my hand up in there or do anything. And then just let them do their business, you know, because again, it's one of those things too, you know, we call integrated pest management.
Exactly.
You know, integrated pest management. This is IPM is just a really great way to handle and take care of a lot of those things in your garden that can affect your garden in damaging ways. When we let those things that come in and prey on them and eat them, and they survive on those things, that's just the best way to go.
I think first, you know, like study them, make sure you know what they're there. I mean, there's always benefits to all the insects, right? Even the aphids. And so if the aphids are not a problem, you don't need to try to get rid of it, because then the ladybugs will have no food to eat.
It's food,
leave. And so unless it's an infestation, then you shouldn't worry about it. If you have, you know, abundant of other lives around, they'll take care of themselves. You know, the gardens always have wars going on. You know, the bugs are eating each other.
It's a war for sure. And again too, whether it's on the, you know, above soil level, there's all of those sort of things, you know, with these different organisms that are really just trying to, you know, feed off of each other, you know, and that sort of thing. One of the things I always found fascinating about soil, though, too, is that someone I was talking with once says, if you ever want to see a horror show, go and, you know, get into and look at the level, you know, from a microscope or even magnifying into your soil. And there's just, again, too, so many organisms, more than even on the planet Earth, all together inside your soil, that are just constantly at war and constantly eating each other and doing all sorts of stuff, you know. So it is a necessary part of, you know, life and growing and all of that.
Yeah.
I really like what Darth X says right here too. Yellow jackets are garden cops.
Yellow jackets are a bit more aggressive though, so you have to be careful with them.
You definitely want to step back, when, you know, when they're around and all of that sort of thing too.
They will come at you.
Yeah, exactly. And also Darth X was asking, you know, kind of going back to beneficial mites. Aren't beneficial mites red? Are they? Or what are we looking for?
They might be all colors.
They could be all colors.
Yeah. The ones that I'm talking about
different
are
varieties of them for sure, right?
Yeah, the ones that I'm talking about, mostly the ones that I've been using are almost translucent. So yeah, they come in all shapes and sizes, and yeah.
All right. Yeah, lots of, again too, there's just so many, again, like I said, fascinating things that really happen in a garden space that we don't really think about when we first get started gardening, you know. So it really is, you know, again, to something, another part of that learning curve we learn as gardeners is to, you know, what to accept and what to, you know, what to be keeping an eye out for and that sort of thing as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, one other fascinating bugs that I recently really appreciate are the soldier flies. I mean, they eat a lot of your compost, so I guess it's a, you know, they do eat a lot of things instead of just breaking it down, but they do break down a lot of stuff in your compost if you ever have, you know, like scraps.
Exactly.
Like, and they love the mushy stuff, you know, like when fruits and vegetable become mushy.
Yeah,
they love that the most. And then you know, they'll lay eggs, and the eggs become these little maggots looking animals, you know. And a lot of the farmers, my farmers buddy, they use those to feed their chickens. But also once they become mature adults, they look like little like black bees, but they fly around the garden, and they're really clumsy. And the insects, I mean the lizards will eat them.
Right.
And so it's almost like a cycle thing, you know. So they do help eat a lot of the compost that you put in there. They'll probably eat it more than they break it down, but it helps get rid of some of the stuff that could potentially be trash, you know.
I saw this video once where someone created this kind of thing utilizing a box or something to where the soldier flies, you know, like you said, they lay the eggs and the little maggots, you know, come alive, but then those maggots move in a certain direction or do certain thing. And I can't remember exactly how it works, but they got it all set up to where they just basically fall into a little feeding tray for their chickens and all of that. So you know, again too, you got the soldier flies helping break down your compost and doing all of that. And then, you know, all of these extra you know, maggots and larvae and all of that go on to feed the chickens as well too. I thought it was just a really great way to do it.
There's a really good video in countries like in Asia where they raise soldier fly as a food source to raise the fish. Because fish farms is very expensive if you start to you know, make food for the fish. And so they found an ingenious way to farm soldier flies because they're so cheap and so easy to farm. They'll eat almost anything. They're very cheap to raise, and then they're very nutritious for the fish, and it's all like an organic source in a way, because you're not producing any you know, chemical into the food. You just use the pure soldier flies larvae, you dry them up, and then you sell them to fish farms. And it's one of the biggest thing going on in Asia right now. And I saw a video, I was so fascinated. I was like, wow, That's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and if you're doing some sort of like what is that, aquaponics or something with fish or whatever too, it might be a good way of feeding fish and everything, as well as being able to use them for other things, you know. And yeah, I just remember the first time I really figured out or saw soldier flies. And one year we just had them, like, I mean, every year I see at least a certain number of them. But one year when I was early on growing my garden here, they were lying all over my side wall here. Just hundreds of them. And I just remember them, and I was just freaked out wondering what they were, because they almost look like a little black wasp or something.
Yeah, they
kind of
do.
wonder, you know, you kind of wonder, I'm like, what in the world are these sort of things, you know, until I finally figured out that they were soldier flies. But again, too, they're really, like you said, they're really clumsy and erratic in their flying.
Yeah,
So when they're flying around you, it's just kind of like, oh, where you go? At first. But then once you figure out that they're completely harmless and really actually helpful and beneficial to your garden, then you really want to encourage them and have
I've
them
never
in your
seen
garden.
those. I'm looking it up online now.
They're really cool, Chris. You should,
It might be your climate, maybe, too.
Yeah, they're in south of Europe. It says France, Italy, Croatia, Malta.
Yeah, so that
we don't have
probably
it
hits us here in Southern Oregon and a little more south as well, too.
It says North America. It says and south in Europe.
Right on. I just want to mention this too. We have M joining with us in here. And they're like, Khang Starr, I'm a fan. The pepper reviews are great.
Thank you.
We're all fans here.
That's right.
I haven't done one in a long time, and I do have some in the garden that I should, because they're so beautiful. I need to show it to you guys. So I may do a few coming up because they're ready.
Right on, right on. And M also asked a question here too. Is laying out wood, or does laying out wood reduce the chances of termites from damaging wood frame homes? I'm not sure. I mean,
you know what?
I mean, I think they're going to get anywhere and everywhere at that point, right? They're going to find, I don't know if they'll just stick to like wood you put out for them. I'm not sure if they would just feed specifically what you want them to eat.
Yeah, so wood that are used in homes, they're laced with these green chemical that reduces the chance of termites. But that's one of the reasons why people don't recommend putting certain types of mulch around the house, because it attracts termites. And so many people use cedar mulch because cedar, bugs hate cedar because it has this smell that kind of like deter them.
Yeah.
And so, be careful when you lay down mulch, because it depending on what type of mulch it is, and if it's too close to the house, you could attract termites.
Yeah, and probably too, even more so for older homes then, right? Yeah. Because they might not be built with that type of treated wood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right on, exactly. Yeah, all sorts of crazy things you got to kind of be thinking about when it comes to bugs and pests and everything too. Right on, right on. Let's talk a little bit, Christopher. We've been mentioning here throughout the year too, each time you guys get on the show, is you're working on a big project over there, and hopefully going to have it done here real soon so that you can get started. You got a whole new grow room growing over there, right?
Yeah, it's growing slow. It's I don't have enough nutrients. I think it's taking its time here.
Taking its time.
Yeah, I do have a new grow room coming up. And I think it's about 2 years now since I really closed down the last one that I had. Yeah. And I was looking at the calendar. It felt like I've been doing gardening there for a year or something. But I actually filmed 8 seasons on YouTube from that grow room. So yeah, it's over 10 years ago now. And
it's amazing how time flies.
It was about time to do something about it. Yeah. And I remember, I think it was early in spring when we had the first stream of the year. I was talking about planning a new building behind the garage here.
Yeah.
But I am so happy I didn't go with that idea, because it would have taken so much time. It's so much time
just building something from new. Yeah.
Yeah, and even if I'm not going to do it myself, it's just getting the contractors in and getting everything up and running and getting the idea and the designs and the sketches and it's just a mess. So it would have taken a couple of years at least. So finally I figured out, yeah, and I just begged my wife to take the one of the garages that we have and turn it into a new grow room. So that's where we're heading, and I've been
Take a look
working
at
on
it.
it now.
You sent me a picture here
Yeah.
just before the show. Let's pop that up and take a look at that. Maybe you can explain it a little bit
Yeah.
there, what you got
Yeah.
going
So
on.
yeah, it looks horrible, but for people who understand the process of it doesn't look that bad. But
Yeah.
I started this spring, and it's been a lot of work on the outside of the building because, as you can see, we've had some moisture going through the building, and it really had to be fixed before we could do something indoors. So everything was in the summertime. It was worked on the outside, and now. They also reflowed the floor with the cement, and now finally they were able, because it was dry enough. I've been having the dehumidifiers going there, and now they were able to do the epoxy flooring. So that was in this week, and now that's dry. And today, after I took the picture, I rinsed the walls with some I don't know what's it called, but something to rinse old old dirt with, and I scrubbed all the walls and pressure hosed them, and everything looks so much better now. So I put in the dehumidifiers again, and now the room is just waiting to get bone dry. And I'm gonna do some spackling, or what's it called, on the walls there to make sure that I remove all the bumps and the holes and everything. And then I'm gonna paint, continue with the same epoxy painting that's on the floor. Gonna continue on the walls also. So it's gonna be a sterile white room, everything. But it's just a nice base when you want to do some crazy things in there. It's nice to have a white base everywhere because it reflects light so much better than other things. So that's what I'm gonna do.
That
I'm gonna
being really waterproof as well too.
Yeah, that's the fantastic thing, is that this garage was built by my father when he built the house, because I took over the house that I grew up in. And it was it used to be a garage for working on cars, and he had engines in and out and everything. So I have strong metal beams in the ceiling. That's perfect. It was used to lift out engines of cars, so it can handle the load of all my grow lights and everything. And also there's a big I don't know what's it called, drainage, where it's like this big. So it's a large hole in the floor, which has grates over it. And then I can just pressure hose the whole damn room, and it will just flow into the vacuum of space. So,
Awesome, Chris.
yeah,
Chris, one thing we should do is I want to get with you on building a new hydroponic container, because the ones that I see these days, they're not very functional. It takes too much time to clean. I don't think they think it through. And so, thinking from the engineering perspective, I was like, it doesn't work very well. It takes too much work, takes too much to clean, and takes too much to add and remove water and stuff like that. So I have this new way just to kind of like build a new system that can kind of like, you pull the plug, the water drains out.
We need
over, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we need to do a session on that. And I'm also, because now I'm free to do whatever I want with water. I can really mess it up how much I want without having any repercussions, or what's it called, because I can just clean the floor and everything is up and running. The only thing that's going to happen, if that happens, is that my carpet is going to get wet. But that's kind of not an issue compared to, the walls are soaking. So it's a different type of battle. And to be honest, it's I am so lucky to be able to do a project like this, because it's gonna be industrial grade once I get it finished, and just for growing coffee and bananas here in Norway. So it's gonna be fun. But I'm going to redo the whole. Oh, there's so many things, and just before we came on here, I was sitting here and designing electronics again, because I'm finalizing now, and I'm going to order my testing cards for the greenhouse computer that's going out into the greenhouse. I was talking about that a little bit earlier, and now the card is finished, well, at least for testing purposes. So I'm going to get that shipped off for production, and I'm also gonna revisit the computer that I made for the hydroponic control system.
Yeah.
Because as you stated, Khang, one of the things that I want that's missing from the system that I used to have, and the reason for that is that I didn't have water pressure. I only had tanks of water that I brought up to the old room, but now I can really do things with it. So what I'm thinking about doing is having top connections on all the barrels, and I'm going to have bottom connections on all the barrels, and I'm going to have a way to drain the barrels from the bottom, but I'm also going to have switchbacks so I can flush the system with clean water to get all the roots and everything out from all the debris that fills up. Because in my experience, when you're just draining from the bottom, and you're just using the pressure from the barrel, it's not going to really empty out in the most best way. So that's why I want to have something to just back flush the full system and do something about that. And that's something that's one of the things that we need to work out going forward now. And I am so super excited about this, and it looks like now there's a little bit of a time going between, because it has to dry out, and then you have to paint it again, and you have to dry it out, and the epoxy is a little bit finicky to be working with, as I understand it. So but I'm guessing that within the month it's gonna be finished, and now it's on me and not on all the others. So now it's bang bang bang, and I've been working on it the full weekend, and I'm just gonna pump on and continue. And even my wife, and let's not talk about it really loud, but don't. She's really nice. She even opted to take the kids to her mother for a full weekend, so I can work on the greenhouse and the new grow room. So,
what an amazing person!
That's right. That's right.
He knows that's your passion. That's why, you know.
Yeah, I'm blessed beyond what I really deserve. So I don't know what's going on there, but I'm gonna take it. So I think
can't wait to see your banana trees, your fig trees, or what are your coffee trees. Because I think Chris is the only one that's ever done tree and hydroponic for that long.
And at least not on some sort of industrial testing thing, because I think they've been doing. I have been doing a few videos on the coffee, and there's been several both companies and people that have been contacting me to talk about ongoing commercial projects with hydroponic with coffee. At least the coffee was the only one that really triggered the interest for hydroponics. So I think there's a lot of things going on now in that space, and it's fun to have some sort of project that can be actually something that people are looking into. So
I could really see, that interest and everything too, because coffee growing is just really kind of climatic. It's really only grown in certain parts and areas. And if coffee producers and people can expand that and be able to do that in indoor systems, to be able to grow them and produce, like I said, your plants produce coffee beans, growing them indoors, just, that's just amazing. And I could see companies being interested in where that can go.
And coffee is the thing that I feel like it's the same with cognac and wine and things like that. Coffee is so complex, and there's so many things going on. And maybe with growing coffee hydroponically, you can be able to produce different types of coffee within the same climate. Maybe, I don't know. there's so many fun things you can explore with the idea. So of course,
Yeah.
I don't know how to roast my coffee beans, so that's something I need to learn. First, I need to learn how to grow them, but
Mhm.
No,
Yeah.
we have lots of time. We're in our early 20s here, so
Yeah.
that's gonna be a whole new topic, because I think within hydroponic you can control the kind of like, in soil composition, different percentage of
Yeah.
certain thing creates certain taste or flavor in certain type of fruit. And maybe in hydroponic you can do that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they've already done that in strawberries for hydroponic.
Yeah. And also
Exactly.
in the grow room, I have the system going so I can control the humidity from 80% to 30%. So
Mhm.
I can really test with how are my plants doing in 80% or how are they doing in 30%. And
Mhm.
there's so many interesting things. And for instance, I've never been able to grow avocado indoor successfully in soil. It always dies on me. But
Yeah.
I just chucked one seed into soil and a pot of soil here in the office, and now it's this high and it's
Oh,
doing
wow.
phenomenally. And I don't pay attention at all, and that seemed to work. So
Yeah.
why can't I grow it in the grow room?
Mm.
There's something going on there. I need to figure that out. Why doesn't it like my grow room?
Right. Well, I mean, you get to try this new space and test it out there as well, right?
Yeah,
And do some
yeah,
different things and everything. And like I said, coffee and in the coffee industry, there's billions of dollar industry and all of that, so there's a ton of companies out there I'm sure would be really interested in some of the things you're able to figure out when it comes to doing that.
but it's just
Almost
fun.
everybody drinks it. And I was just going to mention,
Yeah,
to our moderator, Adam, who I was just joking with last week about how I've been off coffee recently. I finally broke down and had a cup today. So,
we need coffee. No, but
mhm.
it's fun, and it's the same thing with like what you say, Kang. When in Rome is kind of the expression here, because when you're doing gardening, you want to grow peppers, okay, but when you want to
Yeah.
grow peppers, you want to try to graft them. Well, of course, when you want to graft them, you maybe want to try to cross them. It's the same thing, and
Mhm.
that's the drive for me, at least, and I think it's the same for us all here who are really interested in the hobby. Is one thing leads to another, and there's so many ways to explore and so many
Mhm.
things to do, and you really can't go wrong, because if you want to really focus on how can I do radishes indoors to
Mhm.
perfection, that's a full path. You can
Yeah,
just
Yeah.
go on that trail for 2-3
yeah.
years, and it's just exciting from day after day. So you want to do bananas, you want to do coffee, you want to grow trees hydroponically, you want to grow peppers hydroponically, you want to do soil, you want to do whatever you want to do. It's just there's just not time to do it all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's no time, because I switch from projects to projects and then switch it back. And so one of the most interesting thing that I want to talk to you guys about is grafting trees. And I guess we back to the same topic that we've talked about last time. But here's an
Yeah.
interesting thing, right? And
Yeah.
so, tree growing from seed takes forever, maybe 5 to 8 years, 10 years, maybe, to produce
Mm.
fruits, right? And
Yeah.
so what I'm doing now is I'm actually growing a tree from seed, and once it get to a certain stage, I take the top of that tree grown from seed and I graft it into my full grown tree, and I forget about it. And like 2 years later, I like, oh, that is my graft right there. It's about to produce fruit. I mean, I completely forgot, because in the meantime, I'm waiting for it. I have
Yeah.
other graft that is already producing fruit, so waiting for it isn't that long. But here's another kick. The craziest thing is I still have the tree from seed, and it's about the size of my index finger. But the
Oh, yeah.
graft that I took from that tree and I put into a mature tree, it's the size of my fist.
Oh,
How is
wow.
that even possible? I don't even know. I mean, why does it grow so fast when I graft it onto an old tree? I mean, this
Yeah.
thing is massive. It looks like a tree on its own, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
original parent is about the size of my index finger. That's it. That's as big as it gets. But the other
Wow.
side, the other tree that I grafted onto my full tree, it is this big, and it branches everywhere. It's so big. It looked like a tree on its own.
Yeah.
Got to
So
be
it looks
something
like it's
maybe in the energy of the older tree you've put it into
yeah.
the again too similar to maybe that how they they purposely have root stock
Mhm.
versus the regular tree stock and all that sort of stuff. So it's probably just
Yeah.
yeah, that's just fascinating though. I mean,
So
just
that
amazing how
that
that works.
yeah, that by itself is causing me a few years of research now because I want to know what happened next. So I have to grow another one from seed. It might take
Yeah.
2 years. And I'm gonna do that again to see if
Yeah.
the process can repeat itself to say like, oh, I did it the first time, that worked. I did it the second time, oh, the outcome is the same. I was like, there's something going on here.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
because the full-size tree is able to take up all the nutrients that it needs, and then it can disperse it to the grafted
Just
tree that
pump
is
it
like,
right in there,
yeah.
right? Whereas the other
And
one's
this
still
thing
in
is,
its growing stages. It's still
yeah.
trying to mature and
I need to
everything.
show you guys. I need to do a video to show you guys. Will be like, what in the world? How is that even possible? That the tree, that branch grow that big? It's bigger than all my branches in the entire tree, whereas the parent is still this big.
Wow.
I
That's
don't know
just
what happened.
amazing.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's just great. And then
Yeah, but it's just yeah. So I guess you have your time spent there, and you're not gonna get bored right away, I guess.
yeah, I just don't think you can when it comes to growing things. Similar to what you were saying, Chris, is that
Exactly.
just there's all
There's
these
so much.
different avenues we can take in this
Yeah.
fascination for
Yeah.
growing things.
And then Chris here is taking technology and
Yeah.
integrating it into gardening, which we need because the future is where it's at.
Mhm.
The more people we have on planet Earth, the less space we have. So
Yes.
and I think more people are moving to the city, so it's getting really
Yep.
overcrowded. So I imagine the building next to you where your workplace is going to be like a farm.
Yeah.
You know?
Not only that, too, think of where we're able to head here in the next generations to come when it comes to what we're going to be doing in space.
Yeah.
Whether
There you go.
it's, some sort of situation set up on the moon or they finally get out to Mars and, want to do these sort of things and creating these living situations. The one thing that, we know is that food has to come along.
Yeah.
Food has to be a part of any of those sort of things that we do, and it's these sort of technologies and these sort of things that you're working on and researching and developing and all of that are going to be a part of that future too as well.
We really don't have time to have a work, a regular job. We should only be focusing on these things.
I
I
know.
feel like
We need
Well, I tell you,
crowdfunding.
it's going to be a lot easier for you. You start developing some things for these coffee people, and they start paying you some big monies for some
yeah,
whatever patents or whatever
yeah,
things that you get on these sort of things, man. That's
sure,
it. It'd be a
sure.
full-time job for you, man.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you're on that road already.
Yeah. No, I think I'm gonna stick to doing what I can.
That's right.
But we were talking about I don't remember we were talking about last time I was growing galangal.
Oh, yeah.
And because I brought it from Thailand. Did I show it?
I don't remember. Did you
Oh,
show?
you want to see it?
Sure. Absolutely. Do we not want to see it? No.
Enoch, I got my 2-year-old pear to fruit because of grafting.
Oh, yes.
Instead of waiting 5 years, it oh my goodness.
Whoa.
They look like ginger types or like,
Yeah.
That is
They
massive.
They grow just like the ginger. It's enormous.
yeah.
It is
That is
really
massive.
enormous. And I had it in the greenhouse last year, and it didn't do well at all. It just put out a couple of leaves and nothing, and it just died off in the end of the summer. So I brought it in, I dried it out, and I thought I had 3 small lumps, and I thought maybe. So I put them in, 1 in the middle and 2 on the sides, and only one did put out 1 single shoot after maybe 1.5 months or something. And this is now what that small thing looks like. And it has even flowered off. So I don't know what to expect, but it's very heavy. So I think it's chock full of galangal. And I can't wait to move it up to the new grow room, and I'm gonna repot it.
You can split those and grow them into another pot, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, and I really want to taste it because I love it. It's so delicious.
Wow.
But I wanna not eat so much that I cannot easily grow it back without using 2 more years.
Right.
That's what,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why you need hydroponic. Now you can grow a whole bunch of them.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
that's the thing, that this is a typical thing that's impossible for me to grow outdoors, because at least for me, because I'm not able to grow this outside. It's too cold. They really
Yeah.
required a warm soil. I don't have that. And also in the greenhouse, it just doesn't like it. It won't
Yeah.
survive there because it's too humid, it's too warm, it's too cold. There's so much things going on that's wrong for this type of growth. So indoors is the only way that I'm able to do it, and this is actually without grow lights. So
without lights,
yeah,
really, just regular
regular
lights you
office
have.
lights, and also I have it all the way out into the window, so it gets direct sun. But yeah, so
Man.
these are the things that I can only do in this sort of environment. So I was thinking maybe I should do like a bed of gingers and galangal and those type of root things. Maybe I can try to grow sweet potatoes indoors also.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. So
I bet you
yeah.
can. I mean, it just ceases
Yeah.
to amaze me, the things that you're able to grow and how well they grow. I mean, that's one of the things that's just so always has fascinated with me with what you do on your channel, is just these amazing plants that you're able to grow. And again, too, in
You guys
Norway,
make
you know, you're all the way up in a
Every-
place where people don't think you could grow so much, and here you are, just totally blowing our minds away with the
but
things
you know, everybody's talking about the expression throwing at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing that we're doing here. We're doing 100 projects, and 2 of them looks nice. So so don't let the eyes fool you. It's just something works, and the rest doesn't work. So
right. Yeah, I
You
suppose
know,
those are.
if you're growing sweet potatoes, eat the leaves. They're amazing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and so
Yeah, I've
plentiful because
never-
those vines just grow and grow and split
grow
and
like crazy,
grow
yeah.
this way,
Yeah.
that way. So there's always just a ton of them.
I tried it in the greenhouse one year, but it just didn't want to survive. I think the soil is too cold. I think
So
those live in a really warm climate, so the soil
they're
has
like-
to be above 20 degrees Celsius or something, I think.
Yeah, they
So,
do
yeah.
well in warmer areas for sure.
You know, one thing that I grew in hydroponic last year that did really well was water spinach or morning glory or whatever they call it. You know, the Kang Kong.
Yeah.
King Kong.
Those
Yeah.
are, I mean, they grow like weeds in hydroponic. So if you want something quick, exotic kind of, grow fast, and you can do a lot of stuff with them.
Yeah.
It's the Kang Kong or morning glory or water spinach. They grow like crazy in hydroponic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Those would be great. Especially the water spinach would be awesome.
Yeah, they're really
There's-
good to pickles. Pickle water spinach is amazing.
Yeah.
One more thing about your grow room, Chris. I know that you were talking about before when you wanted to build the new building, or in that you wanted to make really high ceilings. Is that something you're going to be able to accomplish? Higher ceilings in this new grow room
Yeah, it's
for your
about,
trees?
I think it's 2 feet, if that's, yeah, it's about 60 centimeters taller now than the last one, and those 2 feet are really important because that's kind of where I was missing the space.
Yeah.
Because so many things, like for instance the coffee and the banana and everything, you need to, when you grow something of that size, you need to have a certain height for just either the barrel or the pot. That kind of is the base that you really need, and you need some space for the stalk or the stem of whatever you're growing. And in the old place, when the pot or the container and the stem was used, then there's kind of was just maybe this much left for
Yeah.
the whole plant. And now that space has been at least twice the size now.
And that's
So
just up to the ceilings you already have there then.
yeah, so
No way to
so
open them up maybe for maybe an extra foot or so.
no, not what I have now.
Yeah.
In the new one now that's fixed, because
Yeah.
on top of that is our veranda on the
Oh,
house.
okay, yeah.
So if I take that away, I think I'm heading for trouble. So
There's only
that's-
so far the wife's gonna let you go there, right?
yeah, so let's take 5 years now with this much increased in the height, and
Yeah,
we will see when we get there what we need.
right, exactly.
Yeah, but I think if I think with the old place I could have pushed and gotten fruit on the banana with the height that I had, but it was just too massive, and it just wasn't making sense anymore. And now I think that project will be very much feasible, because the plant was at full size, and if I get the same type of plant with the same size, it will be fantastic. And the coffee, I did grow that in the old room without having too much issues with the height.
Yeah,
But now I can really let it go, and not
Yeah.
constantly having to trim it down to avoid the grow lights. So yeah.
I wonder if you can train it, you know, like to grow outward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I did. The coffee tree initially has one branch or
Yeah.
one stem going, and it just put out these hanging branches.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But I cut it really early on, and it just went out into a Y or into whatever,
Yeah.
and it goes out, and it kind of, and if you can see it on the pictures that I had for the original plant, that it doesn't look like what it looks like outside where they grow coffee, because I had it growing horizontally all the way. It was just so much horizontal growth on that plant, and not much in height at all. It was just like this much of height in the leafy part of it. So
Yeah.
you can train it to do whatever. You can do that with everything. The
Yeah.
only thing that I
It is.
haven't been able to train properly is moringa. That's
Moringa, huh?
yeah.
Those
I-
things
I-
grow too fast.
They-
Yeah, you turn around and they're like 2 feet
Yeah.
taller. So
they grow too. I grew a bunch of those, and I mean, like within months, they're just so
Yeah.
tall.
but can you grow that outside, or is it too dry where you live? Or
No, they love the dry area. The
Yeah.
only problem is they'll die in the wintertime.
yeah, they
Right.
can't handle that now.
Just
Yeah.
can't handle the cold. Yeah. I've heard. I haven't got a chance to grow moringa yet. I should give it a shot and see how well I can get them growing. But like you said, they grow so fast, so I'm sure that they probably do pretty well during the warm season for sure.
Mhm.
Right. They die completely though too during
They
the
die
cold.
completely.
Yeah.
All of my
Roots
trees
and all.
that left outside just died. I grew two kinds. What are the names? I forgot they were, and they
Yeah.
cannot survive. Even Texas is not that cold. You know, it's like we're in zone
Yeah.
8A.
Right.
But left them outside, they just die completely.
But grow so fast that basically you could probably just grow them as an annual then, right?
But the amazing thing is you can take them inside. Just chop I mean, you don't even have to chop a branch. Just chop the whole trunk into
Yeah.
like a little log. Put it in soil. Take it inside. They'll grow.
Yeah.
You
Have you
Mine
been-
was- Yeah, I had 3 of them that was touching the ceiling, and I
Mhm.
cut them down to a
Yeah.
stem of this size, and they all came back
Yeah.
Yeah.
within days.
Mhm.
And these are containers too, then, right? Because you've
Yeah.
got them,
Yeah.
you've got them in containers. So yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm gonna have to give those a shot as well too.
And it's
Right.
delicious. I love it.
what? How do you use it? Just eat it straight from the
Yeah.
plant.
Yeah.
A lot of people do, just right from the plant, or you can cook it a little bit, or you can dry it up into a powder.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah,
Because-
that's the
Okay.
most I've seen online. It's drying it,
Mhm.
but yeah, I just love the fresh taste of it. It's like arugula. Either you like it or you don't.
Mhm.
It's strong in its own flavor. But it's I think it's delicious. But I
Speaking
can
of
see why
arugula,
people don't.
as I speaking of arugula, I've been growing wild arugula, and now I can't get rid of it. They
Hence the wild.
they will die. They would not die. They would
Yeah.
survive in the cold. They'll come right back the next year. The seeds fly everywhere, so you have wild arugula all over the place. They taste pretty good. It's just be prepared. If you grow a wild arugula and you let them seed, they'll just, you cannot get rid of them.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, a lot of those like leafy green type of things as well too. They just produce so much seed, and like you said, it can spread everywhere. I grow a couple of different varieties of lettuces in the back patio area, and I let a couple of them go to seed because I want to save those seeds and be able to continue to grow them. But they get everywhere. Like I'll have these, like I've got this really great Merlot lettuce. I love this red lettuce, and I find it popping up all over the place in different containers over here, different places, even all the way over in the carport area. So those things get around everywhere. So I can imagine arugula, probably even with even more seed.
Yeah, they have a lot
all over the place.
The good thing about them is they'll do well in the summer when the regular arugula will not grow. They'll do well in the winter.
Yeah.
The bugs, they're just so much of them. The bugs don't really tend to care for them too much. I mean, they'll get bugs like a little bit, caterpillars here and there, but it's not going to affect anything. They grow so fast. The caterpillar eat it, they grow right back.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
People say that you shouldn't grow mint indoors without or outdoors in the greenhouse or something without having it confined to an area, because it's just going to spread and you're never going to get rid of it. That's not the case. It's easy to get rid of. The only thing that I can't get rid of for the life of me is Khang Starr's ground cherries. Those are like they have to be on some sort of list because they are spreading like wildfire here. And I was cleaning in the greenhouse today, and I maybe 5,000 of the pots just laying around everywhere.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about it is that in the wintertime, the mice might get into the greenhouse. And they move them strategically around, and they place them in the soil everywhere. They're doing the work of a gardener.
Yes.
And springtime come, and you cannot do anything but weeding out all those ground cherries. And I was so afraid of losing the seeds, so I had to save them. But after seeing this year, I'm never gonna save seeds from that again, because I'm just gonna pick one plant when it starts get going.
I have them growing every year, Chris. Every year they come back. I mean, like you don't have to do anything with these things. You just let them grow on their own.
How do you avoid it spreading? It's seriously,
just don't let them fruit.
That's right. Keep an eye on all of the fruit that they produce, right? That's a bit hard to do.
They're really easy to pull up because the roots are very shallow. But because sometimes you find them in the corner, you don't pay attention, and then they'll have fruits already.
But
go ahead.
I'm just curious about harvesting, because for me they are not ripe until they fall off. I don't know how that is for you, but do they ripen and you can pick them and eat them from the plant? I can't.
I just let them fall to the ground, and then I pick them. I bring them inside for another week, because they do taste like honey after a week more. The green ones, semi-yellow. If they're semi-yellow, they taste still good, but they have this tangy flavor to it. But if they fall to the ground, that means they're ready, and then you bring them inside and leave it on the counter for one more week. It tastes even better.
I have bark in the greenhouse, and I don't have rain there, of course. So I just let them dry on or lay the few days on the bark in the greenhouse. And then you can just go pick and eat from it. So I just go out in the lunchtime in summertime, and I just go pick and eat. It's delicious.
Mine just grew back from the seed that dropped earlier this year, and they're growing everywhere right now. And so of course they're not in the wintertime, but they're starting to produce pods already. So they produce pods faster than peppers.
Yeah,
You
it's
only need like
crazy.
3 to
Yeah.
4 months to grow these things,
Yeah.
and they're
Love
delicious.
what
That's
Jay
the good.
says here too. Khang Starr's ground cherries, the tribbles of the garden world. For all of those of you out there who know Star Trek and the trouble with tribbles, right? You just keep producing and keep producing.
Yeah,
And
they
very
are.
similar though to like you know, again too, and I was just mentioning this a little bit earlier, the tomatillos, same type of, you know, the
Yeah, they
same
look the
type of
same.
plant.
Yeah.
And again, I only grew tomatillos years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
years ago. And the seed that got all spread around everywhere, you know, they grew there, and then we'll go out and do a little cultivation of the soil to get ready for next year. And all we're doing is kicking up more seed, and then it starts again, and they get going again, and all of that as well too. So I find tomatillos are very similar in the very
Yeah.
same way too, is you just
Yeah.
grow them and let them go. And again too, you can try to keep an eye on those fruit. You could try to pluck and make sure you're harvesting all of them and everything, but somehow, some way, possibly birds or whatever as well too are helping spread them and get them out around all over the other places. But it's just amazing how they just keep popping up everywhere.
Yeah, good thing they taste so good. You don't mind
Yeah.
them, you know.
But they originally have to be some sort of tropical plant, or what is it?
They are. Yeah, they're tropical.
But it's so strange that the things that I can't get rid of here in Norway is actually a tropical thing. It's it's just coming year after year after year. That I've only planted it 1 year, and that was the first year that I got it from you. And the greenhouse is full every year.
But you can sit down and literally eat the whole bowl of those things. They're tiny.
Yeah,
they're so good.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, very delicious. They kind of almost like a little pineapple flavor to them.
I think they're on the list of superfoods.
Oh, well, there you go. I'd have to get some there, mix them up with some blueberries, and have a superfood.
Yeah, they are.
Superfood berry salad.
Yeah,
sounds great.
With some potato chips and
yeah. That's great. That's great. Right on, guys. Well, here I'm going to give you guys each a couple minutes here and let everybody know what you got growing on here. I think we're already well over our show time for today, but again, too, it's my birthday, so we can have a little extra talk. So
we can do whatever we want today.
That's right. That's right. So, what do you got growing on coming up here soon? Do you have any projects or anything you're working on, Khang?
Yes. So wintertime is my hydroponic projects time. I'm gonna be doing overwintering a little bit here and there. Take some of my fruits inside, like let's say my oranges. Of course, you know they have to be moved inside. I'm gonna trim them back down. One of the peppers that we mentioned earlier that I can't get seeds from, so moving those inside. I have a few hydroponic projects that I'm wanting to do. There's some. Of course, there's always like vegetable I'm growing in the wintertime outside. There's these herbs that you know, there's a few herbs that I think could do well in hydroponic, and so that's coming up.
Yeah.
And you know, getting ready to you know, clean up the garden outside for next year because the fruit season's coming to an end. And then you know, my grafting project is coming up for the next year. So there's a lot going on.
Always a lot going on too. Yeah, and the cleanup, the part we really look forward to, right?
Yeah.
And seriously, didn't you get rain on your farm property for 4 months?
4.5 months, no rain.
Yeah.
And you know what's the amazing thing is? I never knew that asparagus can go 6 months without water.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's something to know.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's still alive. I mean, the ground is so dry that I try to, you know, get a hammer and try to dig into the ground with a stake. It probably almost bent my stake, and the asparagus is still growing. It's so ridiculous. I don't know how that's even possible.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyway.
that's on my list actually for this year. Something I've avoided growing because it's just, you know, in ground and not really, have the proper space for it. But we do have this space in the back that I've been thinking about just going ahead and doing it, especially with the new owner and everything now. And I'm just going to go ahead and start growing some asparagus finally, because it's one of my favorite things. I love asparagus.
It's
I have a
it's
patch
a time
outside.
investment. It's going to be 3 years. Okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Mine is
Gotta-
4 years this year, so I'm gonna harvest it this spring for the first time.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's good to know that it's good and drought tolerant as well too, because I'm very similar here. I just, we go so long. We had like maybe just a tiny bit of rain that probably wasn't very effectual at all during August, which I was kind of surprised. Oh, wow, it's sprinkling out today, But other than that, yeah, still about 4 months or so. In fact, we just really got our first real significant rain just last night. And going into these next few days, there was maybe some just about a week or so ago, but we're just now finally, and here it is, heading towards November already for us to finally start getting rain. It's just kind of crazy this year how dry it's been.
Yeah.
So we had rain for 4.5 months.
You get the opposite.
Share it with us, Chris.
I know we need a bit of that.
Uh,
Right on. So yeah, again too, tell us a little bit more, Chris, about what you got coming up. We've talked a little bit about the grow room, of course, and all of that.
Yeah.
But I think as you've kind of touched on a little bit too, you're probably just getting really excited about really starting to get back into doing some real content creation and making some content with all this new space and everything, right?
Yes, I am. I am really, really looking forward to it. I can't wait for the new grow room. As I said to my wife, I really need the grow room to stay sane in the wintertime, and that's no joke. We just moved the time now for wintertime, and today at 5 p.m. it was dark. So we're in that phase of the year again, and I get really depressed if I don't have the grow room to go into.
Mhm.
It's nice and warm. It's tropical. You have the grow lights. It just does something with you.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it from two parts. I really need it for myself. It seems like a healthy way to spend the evenings in the wintertime. And also I am so looking forward to make content again and to just see how YouTube works again. I don't know what people want to see anymore, and if I only gonna do shorts or if I can actually continue with doing the boring long videos with whatever projects going on. I'm gonna have to see.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of both. Make the big long videos, but cut them up
That's
into
the
some
problem.
shorts.
You're gonna need to spread out on 1,000 ways, and you're gonna need to do this and that, and then it turns out it's kind of like a job instead of just being fun.
Yeah.
Just going into the grow room, set the camera where you set it last week, and just roll the tape and just go with it. I'm guessing that's the way I'm gonna approach it, but it's been working so far, so maybe I can do it again.
Yeah, there's so many expectations, now with the algorithms and all that sort of stuff that, it's really, really, we just got to do things the way we enjoy doing them and see where things go from there kind of thing. But I'm on the same way though, too, because there's just so much, again, too, so many expectations all over the place, whether, you're trying to get your Instagram content out there and seen, you got to pump it in, and the same thing with the YouTube now and all of that, and doing all the shorts and things that, they really want to see, but again, we just got to enjoy things instead of finding it to be work when it comes down to it.
Yeah. But it's important for me. I want to let people know that I want to be a backyard scientist. I don't want to be a teacher on how to do this and that, because what I'm going to do will sometimes fail. And I've gotten so many comments on some of my videos where I start off by saying, today I'm going to repot my aloe vera and I'm going to try it. And then at the end of the video, I say, maybe it will work. I don't know. I did something new here. I have no idea. And people get so mad because they only want to come online and see those YouTubers that are and they don't know more than anybody else, but it's just fact. But I just want to be on a journey. I want to learn, and if I if I have to know everything that I post, then how will I be able to do that? Because
and really, if we're looking to learn something, you really want to kind of take the time that that you're going to need to dedicate to learning those things, and you don't get them from snippets. I don't think you learn as well from shorts and all of that sort of stuff, especially when it comes to gardening. I mean, look at this conversation we've had today. Just so many different aspects to it, so many different avenues, as we've talked about, you know, when it comes to that being able to spend some time with some great gardeners who've got some good knowledge about some stuff and get to learn those intricacies about things helps us become better at what we're doing. So it's always you know, take the time and dedicate some time to some of that stuff and not rely on just snippets of information.
Yeah, but that's the same thing when I watch your content, Khang. It's not written in stone, everything, and you are also doing experiments, and you're doing something with your pear trees this year that hopefully will turn out to be the right way of doing it next year. But you're not presenting it as this is the only way to do it.
Exactly.
And but you have to guide people to understand that this really isn't a place to come if you want a definitive answer on something. Maybe sometimes you really don't end up with a conclusion, or you might just end up doing something, and the journey is kind of the point of the whole thing. So
you know, and I really think about the, you know, like the whole idea of shorts and stuff should be just basically commercials for what is the actual content that you need to get into and figure that stuff out. So
but hopefully next time we have this chat again, which I hope we will do next time.
Yes, indeed.
Then maybe I can do it from the new grow room. I would really hope that I'm finished with it. So
well, let's just kind of try to keep on track with the same type of schedule we've been on, and just keep this these conversations really regular and follow along too. And again, for everybody else who's watching out there, if you haven't subscribe to Khang or Christopher's channels, you definitely got to do that, especially now that Christopher's going to really be jumping in and making some content coming up here soon. So definitely go and get down in the description below, go and subscribe to these channels and follow these guys and these just wonderful, awesome garden adventures that they're on, and we're all on when it comes down to it. And it's, again, to just wonderful stuff and wonderful people. I just really cherish you guys as friends in the gardening community and all that you do in helping and supporting us here on our show and everything too. So again,
thank you so much for hosting us. You're really keeping the glue in the group here, because we just go out and it takes months for us to communicate, and you are really bringing us back into it every single time, and I am so happy for that. I really enjoy it, and also for your show. I'm trying to jump in, and I'm always trying to jump in the chat when you're online, and there's so many interesting people, and you're doing a phenomenal job, Enoch. I really have to say, and Jay also in the chat all the time, and it's such a nice thing to just jump in and just have a casual conversation on a Saturday night for me, or a Sunday. So really enjoy your show.
Yeah, I really appreciate that too. And again, too, you know, it comes from the, you know, inspiration that you guys initially, you know, being a part of what I did years ago and all that sort of stuff that led to me this whole, you know, again, I enjoy gardening channels. I enjoy content, you know, more even so than what I'm getting from and learning from these different videos, but from the different people who are involved in doing this stuff and putting out and sharing the things that they share and all that sort of stuff. So it is just a really great to kind of have this whole platform and this ability to be able to do this and kind of take things from where, you know, what I was doing to where we are today, to be able to talk to all of these just wonderful people, you know, like yourselves, and have these great conversations for everybody. So, yeah, just really awesome. And again, thank you guys so much for again spending your time and hanging out with us. And I could just sit here and talk all day. Actually, we're already working on a half an hour more than what we usually do for the show and all of that. But again, hopefully, you know, we'll continue this conversation here in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and get this show all wrapped up here and get moving on here for our day. Got lots of things to go on here too. And again, thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Enoch.
Let's Get Growing is sponsored by IV Organic.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with IV Organics, where we grow cool plants and author Saving the World with the Home Garden. IV Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. 1 application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
All right. Here we are. What a great show again, too. Like I said, we took some extra time today, like I said, to hang out and talk with my good friends, Christopher and Khang. It's always wonderful to have them here on our show, talk about all of these sort of things. We dug into so much stuff. I can't wait to have them back again and talk about where they're growing and how things have turned out with all these different fun gardening experiments that they're doing. And I have to get some of my gardening experiments started and everything that I get inspired to do every time I get to have a conversation with them. So we'll be looking forward to seeing them again here real soon on the show. So you'll definitely want to keep following along with us here. And also too, I just want to mention to everybody to be sure to join with us next weekend for the show. We've got this next Sunday, a great special return to the show. We've got Mark Valencia from Self-Sufficient Me coming back on the show. It's going to be great to see him, as well as Nate Murray from Garden Like a Viking. It's going to be awesome to bring these two together for a fun gardening roundtable and discussion. And we'll be looking forward to doing that this next Sunday. And again, too, if you missed last Sunday's show, you'll want to go back and check that out. It was our monthly gardening book club. We had Ashley Thomas, the Mocha Gardener, and her book, How to Become a Gardener. It was just such a great, fun, awesome conversation with her, and our good friend Mark Boucher Colbert is our co-host for the monthly book club. So you definitely want to go back and check out that show, as well as our other show last Saturday, or any of our other discussions that we have here. And if you do, definitely jump into our comment section and leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the show and all of that as well too. Plus, we've got our next month's book club coming up the 3rd Sunday of November. That'll be November 17th. We're talking about the book, The Seed Hunter, with Mitch McCulloch. And really looking forward to checking out this book and having a conversation with him. Had a really great conversation with him down at the National Heirloom Exposition a couple of weeks back. So it's going to be great to have him here on the show this next month for our monthly gardening book club. And of course, I want to mention to everybody, it's coming up. It's this Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. 5 p.m. Pacific, and 8 p.m. Eastern. We have our special Halloween hangout live stream where we're going to watch The Little Shop of Horrors, the original 1960s Roger Corman classic, which is a public domain movie. It's something we get to watch each and every Halloween and hang out with each other while we're handing out all of our treats to the local kids coming through the neighborhood and everything. It's just a really fun movie, a little bit different than the one we're all familiar with from the 1980s with Steve Martin and Rick Moranis and all of them as well too. But what I'm going to do too, we'll have a discussion beforehand, we'll have a discussion afterwards, and what I'll do at the beginning of the live stream is I'm going to hand out or put out our link for the show, so you all can maybe come and join with us and jump in for a minute or two and join in the conversation during the discussion there. And then we'll get to hang out. If you got any costumes you're wearing, or kids with costumes and all of that too, you can join with us there for that, and we'll get to see you and have some fun together. Also, too, if you don't want to join in during the live stream, but you can take a picture, all of that as well, too. We'd love to see all of those fun costumes and all of that you have for Halloween. You can email any of those pictures to me at letsgetgrowing@mail.com. And I look forward to seeing some of those pictures, whether it's you or the kids, or even some pictures of your garden. I don't care, whatever you've got there, just send some pictures on over to me, and then we'll kind of feature those during our discussion for our Halloween live stream. Just really fun to get together and do that. We've been doing that for several years now, and we're just going to keep the tradition going, our annual Halloween hangout. So again, I look forward to seeing all of you during that. Again, that's going to be this Thursday coming up, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and I look forward to seeing all of you, as well as, we're here every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern. In fact, actually, I do have to mention this. This is a good thing. I just thought about this too. One of the things about next Sunday, go over to our page, the YouTube page, and click the notify button. It is going to be an hour and a half forward. So it won't be 11 a.m. for next Sunday. Good thing I thought about mentioning this too here before we leave. And I will put a note on our community page as well too. It will be a little bit later for that live stream, just because we got to accommodate for our good friend Mark Valencia from Self-Sufficient Me. He's joining us all the way from Australia. And so that's going to be really early for him. I think something we're going to move it ahead. So that hour and a half, but it'll still be like 6 a.m. in the morning for him. But he's going to join with us live, so we can take all of your questions and all of that during our conversation. So definitely go over to our YouTube live page and click the notify button for that one coming up there too, so you'll be notified as it's coming up. And if you are here joining us here as we're ending the show, definitely hit that like button, click the thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click that bell notification, like I said, so you'll be also notified of all of our upcoming live streams and videos, and as well share with all of your gardening friends out there. And let them know all about our great show that we have here each weekend with all of these just amazing guests. I'm telling you, it's the one thing I say that, a lot of live streamers out there in the gardening world doing some great live streams, some wonderful content and everything that they're putting out, but you're not going to find a show like this in the gardening community where you're going to get to have so many awesome different conversations from so many different gardeners from all around the world, growing all sorts of different things. And so you definitely want to keep following along, and definitely let all of the other garden friends that who might be interested in checking our show out about us as well too. So and also follow the descriptions down below. Like I said, there's links to Khang's channel, to Christopher's channel, and go and subscribe, and maybe even go and check out one of their recent videos and let them know that you saw them here on the Let's Get Growing show. And as well too, to continue the conversation here is go over to Facebook. I've got a link down below as well in the description to our Urban Gardener community on our Facebook group, appropriately named the Let's Get Growing Gardening Group. And this is a great place for you to come and join with us there. You can post some pictures. I mean, I love to see what you all have growing on in your garden. So it's a great place for you to be able to post some pictures or some video, or ask some questions, answer maybe some questions that other people have, and all of that. I love to see the community growing. So come on over to the Let's Get Growing Facebook page to continue our conversation there as well too. So awesome to see all of you here today. I know we got a little bit of a long one today, but again, it's been really fun to be able to hang out with our good friends here, Khang and Christopher, on my birthday as well too. And one more time before I leave, because I did mention again too that I did change one of my background pictures here that you can see to my granddaughter, and I'm about ready to get done with this show here pretty soon and get over and hang out with her. Just so beautiful, just so much fun. One of my favorite things besides the garden growing this year is this brand new baby growing. She's just so beautiful, and I can't wait to go see her. So again, thank you all so much for joining with me here today. We'll see you on Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Eastern, and then back again on the weekend for Saturday and Sunday. So We'll see all of you then.